Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our ordinary council meeting, Monday the 20th April 2026. Item 1, opening, just hold on. 1.1, 1.2, attendance, Ms. Verrills.
Thank you, Mayor. We have an apology this evening from Councillor Lloyd Trong, and I also seek to advise that Councillor Isabella Doe is online this evening.
Can you hear us, Councillor Doe? She's not there. Maybe try to contact her again. Ms. Verrill, do you want to have
Yes, thank you,
words?
Mayor. I have a special announcement for this evening for the public. I seek to advise the public that following advice from Victoria Police this afternoon, we have closed the public gallery for this meeting. The health and safety of councillors, staff and visitors is of utmost importance, and we will always take action to ensure the safety of our meetings. I wish to emphasise the meeting is still open and the public can continue to watch proceedings online. For those located in Harmony Square, the meeting will be live streamed on the large screen. The meeting will proceed as usual, including public question time. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Verrill. Councillor Garrett.
Mayor, I move that standing orders be suspended to allow consideration of an urgent matter, namely the exclusion of the public from this council proceedings. And this is Councillor Formoso is seconding this motion.
Who's your seconder?
Do we have another seconder from the floor? So I move that standing orders be suspended to allow consideration of an urgent matter, namely the exclusion of the public from these council proceedings.
I'm going to second that.
I move that the council explains the decision to exclude the public from these proceedings, including...
Sorry, before you continue, was there a vote on this? You need to go for a vote first.
Sorry.
Any oppositions on this? Yes, Councillor O'Reilly.
Just a question to the mover. What is the actual... I think the mover was sort of explaining the motion, but I didn't hear the end of it, so I just want to know exactly what this procedural motion seeks to achieve. Thank you, Mayor.
So, thank you, Mayor. This motion seeks that the council fully explain its decision to exclude the public from these proceedings, including the specific legislative grounds relied upon, and that this practice in fact cease and that the public are restored to the gallery, and that if failing that for the CEO or the governance officer to provide evidence that shows there is a reasonable basis of harm to occur or that risk is real and specific. Failure to provide that evidence means that you should now restore the public's right to enter the gallery and also to their right to ask questions as they have requested in question time. So do you have reasonable basis and real and specific evidence of risk to the council, to the councillors or any other persons?
Ms. Verrill, do you want to...
Mayor, I just remind councillors there are two parts of council's governance rules adopted by council on the 22nd of August 2022 which can be referenced. Section 4.3, meetings open to the public, states that in accordance with section 66(1) and 2 of the Local Government Act 2020, all meetings of council or delegated committees must be open to the public unless the council or delegated committee considers it necessary to close the meeting to the public because it is to consider confidential information as prescribed under section 66(5) of the Act, or, as is the case in this instance, is to be closed for security reasons, or it is necessary to close the meeting to enable it to proceed in an orderly manner. In the event that a council meeting is held virtually and not held in person, as prescribed under section 4.2 over these rules, members of the public can watch the live webcast of the council meeting at www.greaterdandenong.vic.gov.au. That needs to be considered in conjunction with provision 4.2 of the rules, provisions made for remote council meetings, and it outlines about how meetings are held online. Mr Tonta, would you like to add anything?
Question of the CEO. Has the CEO, does she have reasonable basis of harm or risk, and does she have real and specific evidence of harm of risk?
Through you, Mayor, we make the decisions based on security arrangements in consultation with Victoria Police. We undertook it in consultation with Victoria Police late this afternoon, and we've even had discussions just prior to the meetings with Victoria Police, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Mayor.
Is the CEO confirming that you do not have a reasonable basis? And are you confirming that you do not have real and specific evidence of risk? Is that what you are confirming to us today?
Through you, Mayor, I have obligations under the Occupational Health and Safety Act, and I'm not going to answer that any further.
Okay,
You also have obligations under the transparency to provide evidence.
Councillor Garrett,
So
the
the
CEO has
council
already
is
responded to
confirming
you.
they do not have that evidence, and they have shut the public out anyway.
Okay, so now we're going to go, any questions on this? Further questions? Any opposition? We're going to go for a vote, okay? So who's in favour of the motion? Would you?
Mayor, I think the motion was acquitted in that Councillor Garrard asked for an explanation, and an explanation was given.
It was given by the CEO.
Although it wasn't.
Point of order. The motion was that the council allow the public in, but the motion has not been put because the CEO refuses to provide any evidence that there was risk. So the motion was not put.
Mayor, my understanding of the motion, and that's why I didn't object to it.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, can we get a ruling on a point of order, please, before we continue with this? We can't just keep talking over each other. There was a point of order made, and we need your ruling.
All right. Okay. All right, I'm going to start fresh. You asked a question, the CEO responded to you. The reason for the closure of the meeting was made by the Victoria Police. So we took their recommendation on the risk and safety here.
Yeah, but you have not provided any evidence. So you are saying that you have responded to police request, but you have not provided any evidence of risk of violence to anyone or risk of disruption. There has been no evidence of risk, and you are required under the Act to provide that.
All right, Jackie?
Through you, Mayor, I'm not going to answer those questions any further. I've made an assessment that based on security of the meeting, that the meeting will be closed to the public. The meeting is still continuing, and Madam Mayor, I suggest we move on with the meeting agenda.
Just to confirm, the CEO has confirmed she does not have evidence.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to move to the next item. So item 1.3, acknowledgement of traditional custodians of land. Those who wish to stand for acknowledgement to country are welcome to do so. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Bunurong people, and pay respect to the elders, past and present. We recognise and respect their continuing connections to climate, culture, country, and waters. And we also pay our respects and acknowledge all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their elders present here today in acknowledging their journey. Item 1.4, offering a prayer, reflection or affirmation. As part of Council's commitment to recognising the cultural and spiritual diversity of our community, the prayer, reflection or affirmation this evening will be offered by Very Rev. Protosbreth Beta as Alexander Savi, Dean, a member of the Orthodox Christian faith. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you very much. First, I would like to thank you for inviting me, having me here tonight in front of the presence of this very respected and honorable gathering, and having me saying the opening prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Christ is risen from the dead, trampling down death by death, and upon those in the tombs bestowing life. Hristos, voskrese iz mrtvih, smrtju smrt popravi, sušom u grobi život darova. O God, who established the universe, the creator of everything visible and invisible, and who gives the life to everything that exists, be with us tonight and help these good people, councillors of the city of Dandenong, do their work to the benefit of all the peoples that live in it. Help them, O God, those whom the people of this city have chosen to administer the wealth and affairs of the city, to have always the interest of the city at their hearts. Open their spiritual eyes to be in a position to uphold the basic human values and human dignity, which is best done when you are present in their lives and in their work. Help them, God, walk in an upright position as those who can, at any time, justify that which they are doing, and to understand the words of a wise man who said, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholds him with his hand." And in particular, O good God, help them conclude the business of this evening to their satisfaction and for the benefit of all of us in an orderly way, and keep them now and in the future in oneness of mind. And the Lord uphold them with your right hand. Amen. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you so much.
Mayor,
Councillor Garrett, can you please sit down?
I would like to suspend orders to bring forward motion 5.2 in the interests of the people standing outside in the cold will not have to wait an hour and a half. So I am requesting that standing orders be suspended and that we bring forward motion 5.2.
I'm happy to second that.
Can you hear me? All right, we're going to put into a vote. For those in favour, put your hand up. Those against?
I'll record the abstention, Mayor. Thank you.
I'll record an abstention. I don't mind either way.
Okay. So it's carried. All right, so item 5.2, notice of motion number 19, solidarity with Lebanese residents. Mover,
Happy to second.
are there any questions? Is there any opposition? Councillor O'Reilly, in opposition? The mover, Councillor Garrett?
Thank you, Mayor. Right now, we are seeing that the Lebanese community in the city of Greater Dandenong are under a great deal of stress given the circumstances that are occurring in their home country. The Lebanese community in the city of Greater Dandenong make up a substantial portion of our community and have made a significant cultural and contribution across cultural, business and many other areas. They are a large portion of our community, and right now the circumstances that are occurring in their home country of Lebanon are of such distress to them. Many of them are seeing family members directly affected, communities they come from subject to extreme bombing and violence. Lebanon right now is being subject to carpet bombing. We have seen on Black Wednesday that within a 10-minute period we had over 100 strikes from an illegal invasion of Lebanon. And in that 100 strikes, we saw over 1,000 people either killed or severely maimed. We have seen over the course of the 3 weeks since the invasion, and it is an invasion. Lebanon is a sovereign country. Israel has, without invitation, without consent, crossed the border and is committing violence in the country of Lebanon. And therefore, from the legal terminology perspective, this is absolutely an invasion. And in that time, we have seen 10,000 civilians either killed or severely maimed. We have seen infrastructure destroyed, such as bridges. We have seen healthcare staff targeted, with over 100 healthcare workers killed. We have seen the emergency staff, medical staff, all targeted and have suffered enormous number of fatalities. We have seen citizens, this bombing is only occurring in public spaces, in civilian areas. It is not targeting military assets or Hezbollah, which are not in this region. They are simply indiscriminately bombing. They are blowing up schools, they are blowing up hospitals, they are obliterating whole villages that have stood for thousands of years, and they are completely erasing them from Lebanon. And this is an erasure of the Lebanese people. This is unwarranted. This is an illegal invasion according to the United Nations, and the Lebanese people are being subject to unchecked and illegal violence. That has an enormous impact on the people of Dandenong. Dandenong is very connected to many parts of the world. Many of the residents in Dandenong have come from war-torn parts of the world. And so when there is conflict in places such as Lebanon, Dandenong feels it directly. We have heard from the residents here how distressed they are, how panicked they are, how this is causing them enormous amount of fear and concern. And this motion is around providing solidarity to that community. It is about standing with them in their time of need. It is about demonstrating that our concern and that we hear them, we understand what is happening, we understand that their country has been invaded despite what the media are saying. We understand that civilians are being subject to enormous amount of violence and slaughter. And we recognise that this is the truth, and it's important that the truth is articulated, and that the act of solidarity, we hope, will bring some succour and some solace to this community who right now are experiencing enormous distress. To quote the author Arundhati Roy, that to never get used to this level of unspeakable violence, we must never look away, and that to say nothing, we are complicit. So what we are doing here today with this solidarity motion is recognising the illegal violence that the Lebanese country is being subjected to. We are recognising the impact on our community, and this motion is purely around standing in solidarity with them and helping them understand that we stand together as one.
Thank you. As a seconder, Councillor Mamedi.
Thank you, Mayor. It's always sad to see conflict around the world, and especially being a very culturally diverse municipality. One way or another, Greater Dandenong is always drawn into conflict, I guess, wherever happening around the world. As we see tonight, we want to stand in solidarity with our Lebanese brothers and sisters, who are quite a large community in Greater Dandenong. We've actually had former councillors, former mayors of Lebanese background, who I know personally. I've had in contact business people, neighbours, just to see there's not much we can actually do, only advocate. And that's all this report is asking. It's asking to advocate, mainly to the federal government. It calls on the Australian government to publicly advocate for an immediate and permanent ceasefire I mean, whoever doesn't want a ceasefire in any war, it doesn't matter where it is in the world. The protection of civilians, that's all we're asking. And full compliance with international humanitarian law, including the protection of medical personnel, civilian infrastructure, and humanitarian access. I mean, all we're saying is we want to advocate, and the people who we can advocate to is our government, which is our federal government, who makes decisions on behalf of the 27 million people in Australia. And some people might say that these kind of things aren't meant to be discussed in councils. We're here to support our community. Our community hurts. Our community come to us. We're the closest people to the community. So we've heard the community. We now send that message to Canberra, and just saying that, you know, we don't want war anywhere in the world. We want peace, and we are a peace city. We are a welcome refugee zone. We support people who have come from war-torn countries. We are only asking for a ceasefire. So I'm asking my councillor colleagues just to advocate and send a letter to the federal government to support our council and our community.
Excuse me, Mayor, I've just had a message that the residents that have been locked out of the meeting cannot hear. Is it possible to turn up the... Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mamedi. Councillor O'Reilly, in opposition.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, certainly agree with the sentiment that's being expressed about the victims in Lebanon. What the objection to the motion that has been communicated to the mover prior to the meeting was that in the preamble, the mover or the motion makes several assertions, some of which may be true, but overall could not and should not be reaffirmed by a group of local councillors, Mayor, because some of the assertions are judgment on military action. And I don't believe that this group is the best group to sign off on some of the things that are mentioned in the preamble to the motion. And the second issue I have with the motion, Mayor, is one of omission, in that the mover has chosen just to regard or acknowledge one group of victims, those victims being from Lebanon, and has chosen not to acknowledge victims from all countries affected by the war, those being Israel, Palestine, Iran and others. So I don't think that the City of Greater Dandenong, who has, well, we should have multiculturalism in our DNA, be saying in a motion that a group of victims from one country is more important or should be regarded more than another. And so, Mayor, if this motion is defeated, I foreshadow that I will be moving a motion that is inclusive, that recognises all victims of the war equally and seeks not to single out victims based on race or country. So in the end, I think I was brought up to believe a person is a person and a victim is a victim. And why would this council not want to recognise all victims of the war? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor O'Reilly. Any further speakers for or against Deputy Mayor Dan?
Don't I get right of route?
Thanks very much, Mayor. Look, I broadly agree with a lot of what Councillor O'Reilly said. I don't agree, however, with the assessment that the motion seeks to somehow imply that the lives of a certain group of people are more important than others. I don't agree with that. But I'll still be voting to support this motion tonight, Mayor. In my view, it's important that at a very base level, councils primarily focus on what we are actually empowered to do. And while much of this motion mentions issues relevant more so to the federal and the international policy sphere, I think on balance it's still appropriate to support, especially given the substance of the motion, which is what we're voting on. I take the comments concerning the context and the preamble, but we're here to vote on the motion. And on balance, it outlines support for community cohesion, wellbeing, inclusion, and safety at a local level, especially at this time for members of the Lebanese community, and not just the Lebanese community, but the wider Muslim and Jewish communities and the broader Middle East, and this pain and suffering that many are going through at the moment. That said, there are of course moments where it is entirely appropriate and even necessary for local councils to reflect the views and the emotions of our community and to express that solidarity and compassion. We have precedent of that in this chamber only last year, where there was an item brought forward about the conflict between Thailand and Cambodia. Now, of course, that conflict is well outside the jurisdiction of local government. It was drafted in a way that remained appropriate for a local council, which focused on our multiculturalism and our solidarity with these communities who live here. So, to conclude, my heart naturally goes out to the people of Lebanon who are currently suffering from indiscriminate bombings in the Middle East, and I think it's very important for us in this moment to recognise that anguish and that pain that many in our community are going through at this moment. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Dan. Any further speakers? Right of reply, Councillor Garrett.
Thank you.
Councillor Formoso.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd prefer to stay seated if I could, please.
Okay.
Yeah, this is really hard to believe that this is the kind of world that we are living in at times. As a mother, first and foremost, I'm deeply troubled by global events. And of course, that includes what is happening in Lebanon right now. But and I just want to bring this to everybody's attention, as of early 2026, there are roughly 56 active state-based conflicts and more than 120 armed conflicts worldwide, the highest number since World War II, involving over 60 countries, and that's happening right now globally. Behind these figures are obviously families and communities just like ours, experiencing profound loss and displacement, and my heart really bleeds for all those affected both here and abroad. I commend Councillor Garrard for bringing this motion forward with such compassion and for recognising the pain felt by many members of our Lebanese community here in Greater Dandenong and obviously all of Australia. At the same time, we must remain focused on our responsibility as local representatives to support our community, foster inclusion and address the issues within our purview. In doing so, we can stand in solidarity while honouring the role we have been elected to serve. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Formoso. Councillor Garrett, right of reply.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to respond to some of the issues identified by Councillor O'Reilly, I believe he does have an issue with the term invasion, and I think I have explained that according to the law, what has happened in Lebanon is an invasion. A sovereign country that has been invaded by another country without consent is by law an invasion. So that term is technically correct. He says that I have omitted to acknowledge the pain and suffering of other communities. That is not the case. This Operation Eternal Darkness was launched on April the 8th by Israel, who invaded southern Lebanon and has subsequently either killed or wounded up to 10,000 Lebanese people. As I said, have attacked civilian infrastructure, has obliterated whole villages, which is, all of these are war crimes, have committed openly and without question war crimes. And the reason I have not acknowledged the pain and suffering of Israelis is because the Israelis are causing the violence. And there have been no bombs going back to Israel. There have been no Israeli civilians affected. Their only deaths have been of some of the Israeli IDF soldiers that went in to invade Lebanon. And so the Lebanese people, in protecting themselves from the invaders, have taken the lives of some IDF soldiers who were there in a military capacity. The same cannot be said of what the IDF soldiers are doing, which is attacking civilian infrastructure and civilian residential areas. So the objections, I hope that Councillor O'Reilly is satisfied with those, because this is a specific incident, and the important thing is that we do not pretend that the Middle East is just a mess and everyone's at fault and this is all just one big, bad, horrible mess. This is a specific invasion. It has a name and it is illegal in every sense, and it is not for us to ignore the deaths and the pain and the suffering that are being inflicted on Lebanese people and then affecting our community would be a second form of trauma for us to do that. And that is why I have not done that. So just to conclude, we are calling on the government to ask Israel, the United Nations and all other legal entities to ensure a ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire. The temporary ceasefire has already been defied by Israel, who have already fired rockets after the ceasefire, so it is not holding. There are no other forces currently stopping Israel from their progression through Lebanon, and currently there is no force that is preventing further killings of the Lebanese people. So we are calling on the government to do whatever they can in terms of advocating for a permanent ceasefire, and also to support the local community, certainly by recognising their pain, by standing in solidarity with them, by providing material support where needed, and to and I do commend the Prime Minister for actually calling for Israel to stop their invasion of Lebanon, but to further use their weight within the United Nations
It's time,
to call for an end
4 minutes.
to this conflict. So just in finalising, all I really want to say is to thank any of our councillors who are going to support this motion, to thank them for supporting the Lebanese community, who are such an important part of our community, and to acknowledge the immense suffering they are undergoing right now.
Thank you. Now I'm going to put into a vote. So for those in favour, please put your hand up. In favour. So Councillor Garrard.
You in favour?
Councillor Yim. Councillor Dan, Councillor Memeti. Those against? Oh, Councillor Doe as well, sorry. 2, 3, 4, 5 against. Councillor O'Reilly, Councillor Formoso, Councillor Lay.
I'm recording abstention, Mayor. Thank you.
I also abstain. So 2 abstain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Okay, so I've got it.
5, 4, abstention. 1, 2, 3, 4, carry. 5, 4, 1 abstention. 1 apology. 5, 4, 4 against.
So 4 is Councillor Garrard, Councillor Yim, Councillor Dan, Councillor Memeti, Councillor Doe, against Councillor O'Reilly, Councillor Formoso, Councillor Lay, abstain Councillor Milkovich and Mayor Sophie Tan.
That's 5 all.
How many 5 or 1 abstention?
2 extensions. Abstentions is voting against.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just going to ask the governance.
So, through you, Madam Mayor, an abstention is considered to be voting against the motion. So we now have 5 councillors for and 5 councillors against. Vote is tied, so you have the casting vote. That's right.
I thought it was a neutral vote.
An abstention is considered to be voting against it. So it's 5 votes each, and the mayor has a casting vote.
So the motion,
So mayor votes against the motion.
so then
Declare that.
I abstained it, but then it's calculated as against.
Which means that you voted against it. Was she saying she's abstaining?
Okay. All right. Since we heard all the fors and against. For myself, we are representing not just one community. We don't want to be very divisive here. That's why I abstained it due to other community also affecting during the war, not just one community. So the reason I abstain and it's calculated as against. So the motion is not carried.
Mayor, I have an alternate motion.
Yes, Councillor O'Reilly.
It's carried though. The motion was carried.
The motion's lost.
Is not carried.
It's not carried.
So you voted against the motion.
Because I abstained, which is a no.
Just point of order. According to my information, an abstention is not equal to a no vote. Can I have a definitive response to that?
Michael?
Never heard that. Never heard that.
So, councillors, in clause 4.7.1 of the governance rules, the second paragraph, a councillor has a right to abstain from voting. A councillor who abstains from voting and remains in the chamber will be deemed to have voted against the motion.
Thank you, Michael. Councillor O'Reilly?
Thank you, Mayor. I have an alternate motion that has been circulated to all councillors, and this motion does recognise the victims in Lebanon and their families of this war. In addition, it recognises victims from all countries that have been affected and their families here. So it has been circulated. It is similar along the lines of Councillor Garrard's motion, except it doesn't have the preamble that talks about particular specific actions, and it does call for similar things as Councillor Garrard. I think councillors reading it will find it more inclusive. I think that the Lebanese community does have a strong right to be heard and understood, but equally so do other countries that have unfortunately been affected by the war. Thank you, Mayor.
Is there a seconder?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I don't have a copy of that, and you're saying you're taking out the preamble, but the motion, are you using all the same 8 dot points of the motion? I don't have a copy of the...
Well, the motion was circulated, Mayor, the motion was circulated to all councillors on email.
I don't have it.
So...
I'm trying to find it. I can't find it in my email.
Councillor Formoso has just sent it to...
Do you have
Councillor
a seconder?
Mehmeti.
Councillor O'Reilly? Is anyone second?
I'm happy to second that one, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Dan. Okay. Well,
Are you calling for opposition?
not yet. Yeah, but yeah, you got the email. Just checking with Mamedi.
I can see 7 recommendations. Are they all 7? Have you just removed one, have you? Or are they all new 7 recommendations?
No, the motion has not been changed, so if that's the one you've been emailed, then that is the one.
I've only got 7 recommendations on it. Can we have a copy before we're voting, please?
So we're going to project it on a
recommendation 7.
screen, Councillor Mamedi. We're going to project it on a screen shortly.
The motion that Councillor Formoso sent me has only got 7 recommendations. The recommendations that Councillor Garrett has put has 8 recommendations.
This is the
Sorry if
alternate.
I was misunderstood. I did not say that my motion had the exact number as Councillor Garrard. What I
which one have you
said
omitted?
was that it was along the lines of Councillor Garrard's motion. So I didn't say it exactly matches, but in my opinion, and now you've got it and you can read it, it's
Up there, Councillor Mamedi.
my motion is strongly recognising the Lebanese community and impacts of the war on the Lebanese community, but also, importantly, I think in the city of Greater Dandenong, recognises all countries that have been impacted by the war, Mayor. So, I mean, it's now on the screen, so...
Thank you. Okay, so now we've got a mover, seconder. Is there any opposition?
Well, Mayor, if I could please.
Yes, Councillor Formoso.
I'd also like to, in that case, if we're going to change some of that wording before we move forward, I think it would be fair to say that we should then really recognise, you know, the 56 active base conflicts and more than 120 conflicts worldwide that are happening right now. If we're really going to be inclusive and represent, you know, the suffering of our residents here in the city of Greater Dandenong. So if we could get governance to perhaps...
So is the mover agreed to the amendment?
yeah, as mover, I'm happy for that to be incorporated into the motion, Mayor.
This is
An alternate motion of a notice of motion.
This is a separate motion. A foreshadows motion.
I've always said you can't have an alternate after a notice. Where are we going with this? It's not an item on the agenda. This is a notice of motion. You can't have an alternate notice of motion after it's been carried or lost.
Yeah, I have no idea what is happening right now. I have no idea the motion that's being put to us. I have no idea what is happening right now. Can you please explain the status of this alternate motion?
You can't do this.
Is this now a motion about every war that's happening in any country and about anyone that's ever been affected by a war? Can you just clarify that, please?
Rhonda, you can't have an alternate after a notice. You can't even bring it back to council for 3 months once it's been lost or carried. You can't do it. You can't do it. A notice of motion can only come back after 3 months.
I can explain that maybe there's some confusion about the alternate and so on.
If you can't have an alternate, Sean, after a notice of motion.
Mayor, and might be able to clarify for Councillor Mamedi, but many times an alternate does get moved before the substantive. But I've made a decision that, in all due respect to Councillor Garrard's motion, that was on the notice paper, that Councillor Garrard's motion was disposed of and deliberated first, and then it is totally, and Councillor Mamedi can talk about it, but it is totally within meeting procedure to foreshadow and move an alternate motion if the substantive motion has been lost. Now, if the substantive motion was won, then the alternate motion lapses.
So what's your point of order?
But we can get governors...
That is actually not the process, that the original motion is moved, that the alternate motion is moved at that point.
That's correct.
And that the council votes on the alternate versus the original. And if the alternate wins, it becomes a substantive motion. If it doesn't, then the alternate. But once the motion has been completed, you cannot then put up an alternate to a motion that has been completed. Can we
I'll
please
get
have a roll?
governance to confirm, Michael.
A notice of motion can't come back.
We'll just listen to Michael for now.
So the governance rules at 4.8.16 set out the process around foreshadowing a motion, which is what the councillor did during the debate on that item. The issue with a notice of motion is a little different to other motions in the sense that it's a mechanism for councillors to have an item put onto the agenda, whereas the usual process has recommendations put forward by management. So the councillor has foreshadowed a motion during debate on a notice of motion item in the same way as a councillor would foreshadow a motion in any other item up for debate. And depending on how the motion under debate is resolved, if it's resolved in the negative, in other words, it is lost, then the usual course of action is for the foreshadowed motion to be moved, which is the case here. So the motion now has been moved and seconded, and the Mayor would ordinarily now call for questions, opposition, and then if there's no opposition, the motion would be carried, and if there is opposition, there would be debate in the usual manner.
Thank you, Michael.
Just a point of order on that clarification, Madam Mayor. My understanding is a notice of motion, while the motion was carried, a councillor can move an alternate, but once a decision is made on a notice of motion, that item cannot come to council within 3 months. So by being able to move another motion of a notice of motion, I'm thinking that's not the correct ruling, but you're the Mayor. My understanding is he should have moved the alternate motion while we're discussing the notice of motion, not after it's been carried or lost. So it's your call, you're the Mayor. I've never seen this happen before.
I would just like to reiterate that my understanding is once the item has been dealt with, you cannot then move an alternate motion, regardless of foreshadowing. And we also know that many of the councillors were not even provided with a copy of the alternate motion. So I am very, very concerned that this is not following due process and that this alternate should not be now heard.
Yes, can I also add on to that? I do acknowledge that we did receive a copy of the alternate motion provided by Councillor O'Reilly a couple of hours ago. But as someone who has tried to put up alternates before, I very much remember that I was not allowed to put up the alternate if the motion had already passed. So I do not support, based on past practice and what I've experienced, it doesn't make sense for us or governance-wise that we have the motion or the alternate motion after we've already passed or rejected the motion. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me to what we've done in the past, at least from my experience in the last year and a half. Thank you.
Okay, so Michael, just to reconfirm, this is a foreshadow motion, so I'm just taking your advice. We've got a mover and a seconder and an opposition, so we're just going to go through the same.
Point of order, Mayor. Point of order, Mayor.
Yeah.
Can I contribute something? Okay, point of order. Just wanted to correct a couple of things, a couple of assertions. This motion was first emailed to all councillors on the 17th of April.
Yeah, we did
my
receive
motion,
yours.
my motion on the 17th of April, and I've got it. If anyone needs proof of that, I've got it in my email. Got it in my email system. So, number one. Number two, I'm happy that this motion be deliberated and an investigation be done by governance after the meeting. And if there is any impropriety regarding our meeting procedure, that we then go further from that. But I think it's rather than, suspend the motion now, I think it should be deliberated. If it succeeds, governance can investigate after the meeting regarding the procedure, and councillors can hear from that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Riley.
Can I just clarify that we are now being asked to consider a motion that may or may not be procedurally correct. We are being asked now to debate a motion that we may have to throw out. Can I just clarify that? That's what I'm
Can I just clarify with the governance team again, Michael?
Mayor, I've provided my advice. It's now up to you as the chair to determine. So we have a motion that's been moved and seconded, and I think there was opposition indicated, so that would now suggest that debate ensues. It's ultimately up to you to decide how you wish to proceed on the matter, and ultimately for the council to decide how it wishes to deal with the motion.
Madam Mayor, can I speak?
Yes.
Can I just recommend, if we're not clear on something, we should not get involved with it. We can always call a special meeting for Thursday night. We can come back on Thursday night, or next week, or the following week, whenever the council determines it. I'd rather be making decisions what's correct than not knowing. So if I can just recommend that we leave it as it is, lost, and we get clarification, and then if we have to come back and have a special meeting, I'm more than happy to come back at another time to go over it again.
I support Councillor Mehmeti's recommendation.
I don't support that at all. I think Councillor Mehmeti would know that basically hasn't been a special meeting called of council in the time I've been on, 13 years, probably in the time he's been on, and is highly unlikely that a special meeting of council would be called so to deliberate on one motion. I think that we have members of the Lebanese community in attendance, and I think we owe them the due respect to recognise the victims in Lebanon, along with other countries. I think councillors calling for this to be suspended really are not showing due attention to the Lebanese community members that have
Point of order.
attended this. So I suggest that this
Councillor
motion
O'Reilly
be
is absolutely
deliberated.
incorrect, and he's telling us to break procedural policy. I cannot listen to him continue saying that we should not follow our meeting procedures, and he's saying other things that aren't...
Point of order, Mayor.
Another point of order.
We've been advised by the governance manager that the procedures have been followed. And what's the point of having a governance officer?
Of order.
Okay.
The manager just
Sorry,
asked
can you
the
just calm
mayor
down? This
to
is
make
now
her own decision.
Councillor Mehmeti.
No, he's asking for the mayor to make a decision.
All right, I'm going to make a decision.
Well, I'd like to move a motion of dissent because I think the mayor's lost.
No, I make the decision
I'm
right
moving
now.
a motion of dissent. No, you can't silence me.
I'll
Moving a motion of
I'll
dissent
second the
because
motion of dissent.
I don't think you have an understanding, Mayor, with all due respect, of the procedural.
I did confirm with the
items in
governance.
Council, I'm moving a motion of dissent.
All right.
And I've seconded that motion.
Michael? Yeah.
It's a mess.
While they are discussing it, I do want to send apologies to Councillor O'Reilly about my comment regarding the receival of the alternate notice of motion. I was a bit confused with the email. So, yes, you are correct. It was sent on the 17th. Apologies.
Everybody's got this. I've got 3 emails already telling me I'm correct. The people who are watching it from local government. Are you getting requests through? You can't move
This is a dog's
a notice of motion. A notice of motion is finished for 3 months. Sean should have moved the alternate while the motion was live. Once a motion's been carried or lost, it's finished. And Michael's cleaned himself up saying it's up to the mayor now, because he didn't know. Yeah, but he covered himself saying it's not up to me now.
Okay, thanks very much, councillors. Just to get the meeting back on track, I'd like to adjourn the meeting for 5 minutes, and then we will reconvene and then proceed from there. Thank you very much. think we're back live now. Thank you very much. And thank you to all the residents and for your patience tonight so far. I understand Councillor Milkovich has moved a motion of dissent. I would ask you to speak to the motion and to provide your reasons. Thank you.
Repeat what you said, sorry.
You have time to speak on your motion of dissent and to provide reasons.
Thank you. No, it's very brief. I think the Mayor has lost understanding of the procedures under the governance rules, and that was the reason for me to enact a motion of dissent. It's very clear and simple. There's nothing against the Mayor personally. I think she just, at this point of time, did not understand which way to go forward in the meeting. I think we needed a reset. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Milkovich.
Can I speak?
Sorry, 1 second. Well, just one moment. Councillor Garrard, I might get you to, will you be speaking to the motion of dissent?
I seconded the motion.
Yeah, look, my understanding of the rules is that no other speakers have the right to speak to the motion of dissent. The process after the mover is to allow the chair to address the concerns, and then we'll move forward to a vote. And then we make a ruling on whether that motion passes or not. So I will now call on the Mayor to respond to the comments made by Councillor Milkovich. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Dan. This is the first time ever. For myself as chair, as you know, that's why we got the governance team here, the manager. So my question to the governance manager before I even make decision, and Councillor O'Reilly also confirmed that his foreshore of motion has been circulated since last CBS, so it's not new to this council meeting now, and I just listened to governance advice to let me know that's what the process is, so I took his advice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. The item before the council now is, the motion is that the chair's ruling be upheld. All those in favour of the Mayor's ruling, please raise your hands. No, in support of the chair's ruling on Councillor O'Reilly's motion. So the matter that is before the council now, the motion, the wording is that the chair's ruling be upheld. The ruling made by the Mayor earlier was to allow Councillor O'Reilly's motion to continue ahead. I understand that there's dissent as to the procedural rules around that. Councillor Milkovich then brought forward a motion of dissent to disagree with that ruling.
Can I raise a
Sorry,
point of order?
1 second.
Point of order.
Yeah, sure.
My understanding is that the motion before put is a motion of dissent, and therefore we cannot now go back and vote on something that happened previously, that we need to vote on the motion of dissent. Is that not correct?
So, Councillor Garrard, the motion of dissent, the wording in the governance rules under in chapter 4 is 4.11.2 is that the chair's ruling be upheld. So when we vote on matters around notices of dissent, the question that we are asking is, do we uphold the chair's ruling? Hence why I've asked for a vote as to whether the chair's ruling to allow Councillor O'Reilly's motion to commence is heard. Are there any other questions? So I'll think we'll just take a step back. The motion before us currently is that the chair's ruling be upheld. All those in favour of the chair's ruling being upheld, please raise your hand. No. We'll just call it, so I will call it one final time for the avoidance of doubt. All those in favour of the chair's ruling be upheld, please raise your hands. Councillor O'Reilly, Councillor Tan, all those against? Yes, that's right. Councillors, would you... Councillors, would it be of benefit if I just seek advice from governance just to re-explain the issue one more time, if that's helpful.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So what council is now voting on is the dissent motion. So the motion itself, as set out in the governance rules, is that the chair's ruling be upheld. So by voting in favour of that motion would mean that you agree with the mayor's decision to allow Councillor O'Reilly's motion to now proceed to debate. If you vote against it, then that would mean that you do not believe that the process is, as has been suggested, and that the mayor's ruling was in error, or just you're voting against that ruling. And that would mean, in a practical sense, that matter would then lapse and we would then resume the rest of the meeting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tonta. So moving back now to the notice of dissent, the motion before the council is that the chair's ruling be upheld. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Councillor O'Reilly, Councillor Tan and Councillor Lair in favour, and all those against. Councillor Garrard, Councillor Formoso, Councillor Yim, Councillor Mehmedi, Councillor Doe and Councillor Milkovich. That motion has been lost and I return the chair back to the Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, so just want to clarify what's happened here. So the motion 5.2 lost. We're not going to go ahead, so I'm going to go back to the start of the meeting. Yeah. All right, so we had the prayer before. I just want to read a statement as well. We note that the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders flags were flown at half-mast over a past of couple of weeks, following the pass of Auntie Elaine Taylor. Auntie Elaine was a Vemba Bunurong woman who will be sadly missed by her family, her local Aboriginal community, and our wider Greater Dandenong community and across the southeast. Auntie had a large family of her own and also fostered more than 40 children. Auntie Elaine's outstanding commitment and generosity is well known. People coming to Melbourne know that if they go to Auntie Elaine's home, they would be taken in for a night or two. Her home is also known as a Peppermint Lodge. Her family has lived in Davidton, the inner southeast, since 1960. Her parents was founding members in an early association and became a key Aboriginal group. Auntie Elaine was there and followed their example as a member of and a leader in many cooperatives, organisations and community groups which have served our community for decades. Auntie Elaine has spent much of her working life supporting children and families who were interacting with Victorian government authorities and child protection agency, and her advocacy has informed legislative and policy change. Auntie Elaine's also work across the housing, justice and education sectors, advocating for community. She was a cultural member and representative of the Koori Court and the Dandenong Magistrates Court for both adults and children. She also on the Melbourne Koori Court and Melbourne Children's Court. So she was also honoured this year by public art mural of her and her granddaughter on a wall near First People Health and Wellbeing Medical Centre in Frankston. Auntie Elaine was a powerful mentor and elder for young Aboriginal staff, emerging community leaders and next generations. Her legacy is also advanced through her children and grandchildren who have followed her example, also work in Aboriginal community control organisations. Most recently, Auntie Elaine was a member of Council Reps Reference Group and also pivotal in the development of our new RAP plan. She will deeply miss by many. It is my honour to recognise her life and her service to her communities this evening. Now we're going to move to item 1.5, which is confirmation of minutes of previous meetings. Is there a mover to this recommendation?
Happy to move.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Dan, seconded by Councillor Jim Ameti. Any questions? Is there any opposition? There's no opposition. The item is carried. Item 1.6, disclosures of interest. Ms. Vettles.
Thank you, Mayor. And we have a few conflicts of interest this evening. You, Councillor Sophie Tan, have a conflict of interest which you declared on public question time. So in regards to, you are an employee of the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, and so you have a material conflict of interest in the final question in question time. Councillor Jim Ameti has declared an interest in terms of item 4.2.4, Dandenong Market Proprietary Limited, because he is director of a company that has a stall at the Dandenong Market. And Councillor Alice Fung Lee has declared an interest in item 5.1, notice of motion number 18, plan the future of cultural infrastructure at Burton Park, because she sees that as a general conflict of interest because she was a previous board member. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 1.7, adoption of audit and risk committee meeting minutes. Is there a mover, please? Councillor Moody, move. Seconder. Councillor Garrett, are there any questions? Is there any opposition? If there's no opposition, the item is carried. Item 2, Officers' Report, Part 1, 2.1, Documents for Sealing, 2.1.1, Documents for Sealings. Any mover, please? Councillor Mamedi, move.
Happy to second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Dan. Any questions? Is there any opposition? No opposition, the item is carried. Item 2.2, petitions and joint letters. 2.2.1, petitions and joint letters.
Happy to move it.
Moved by Councillor Milkovich.
Happy to second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Dan. Any questions? Yes, Councillor Garrett.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is regarding the substantial petition put forward regarding the preservation of the squash courts at the current Dandenong Oasis. My question is, what is the next step in the process of dealing with this petition?
Thank you, Ms. Gillies.
Through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Garrard, for your question. Certainly, per our governance rules, we'll be preparing a formal response to that petition and we'll be presenting that back to Council. Sorry, did you hear that? No, sorry. Can you hear me now? Great. Sorry, I just confirmed that we officers will be preparing a report in response to that petition and we'll be presenting that back to Council. Thank you.
Councillor Formoso.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm not completely across this matter. My understanding that there was no possibility for those squash courts to be preserved, and if I remember correctly, when we were going through this process, even though it had already commenced by the time we were elected, I'm curious as to whether or not there is the provision to ensure that these squash courts can be preserved, much like the table tennis courts. Yeah, I'd like a full report that entails that quite specifically, because we certainly can't afford to lose more sporting clubs and sporting facilities and sporting engagement in this community. Everyone is well aware of the fact that I'm in full support of having an active community, which is part of our strategic plan, if I'm not mistaken, at this council. So I would really like to be well informed as soon as possible to ensure that we are covering all our bases from this perspective. And the information that I was given at the time alluded to the fact that there weren't a substantial amount of members or participants using that facility, but from what I can see in the local paper and of course with this petition, is that that's actually quite the contrary. So I'd like a real detailed report in relation to this before any further decisions are made, please, Mayor.
Ms. Vettel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Formoso. And I'm sure the whole council is interested to understand the decision-making that was made some years ago in relation to this project and the kind of information that was presented to council. And Ms Gillies and the team will present a very comprehensive report in weeks to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms Gillies, you want to add?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to add on to that, certainly in terms of any sort of change of direction, we're working on at the moment some data and information for councillors to consider in terms of what that more detailed feasibility could possibly look like from a decision-making perspective.
Thank you. Any further questions? Is there any...
Just quickly,
Yes?
sorry, Mayor, do we have any figures around that and what that could possibly evaluate to? Because, yeah, I was, again, not made aware of this prospect. So do we have any rough estimate figures as to what that would entail, and whether or not the integrity of that building could also align with what we're doing at the table tennis centre? Because this isn't quite my understanding of what was presented to us previously.
Ms Gillies, you want to respond?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Formoso. So certainly the information that has been presented previously is correct in that the table tennis area is not completely, but essentially a standalone space, as opposed to the squash courts, which are incorporated in the broader facility. In terms of a ballpark figure, so what we're just working on understanding at the moment is what that feasibility would cost to retain, like if council were to consider looking at retaining either an additional part of Oasis and or retaining Oasis in its entirety but decommissioning the aquatics area, for example, what that feasibility would look like. An indication so far from a due diligence perspective in terms of the decommissioning and the ongoing costs that would be applicable. Certainly Ms Sajari's team are working through at the minute, as well as a condition order in terms of those squash facilities and what funds would need to be spent on that ongoing. And then certainly as well from a project perspective, what that would potentially look like in terms of the current allocation of budget for Dandenong Wellbeing Centre. So our intention is we're finalising that information at the moment, and we'll certainly share that. And if councillors wish to consider a change in direction, that would be subject to a council decision to change the current direction.
Thank you.
Just further to that, Mayor, I'd also like to get a better understanding in terms of squash participants / members, and based on their location within the municipality or without, very similar to what we did with the table tennis. Because I am concerned that some of these figures may not be as accurate as we had initially been informed. So if we could have those figures as well, please.
Thank you.
Through you, Mayor, certainly we've got all of that data and more than happy to share it.
Thanks. No further questions. Is there any opposition to this item? No. Then the item's carried. Item 2.3, statutory planning application. 2.3.1, planning delegate decision issue March 2026.
Happy to move it.
Moved by Councillor Mikulj, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dan. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? No opposition. The item is carried. Item 3, public question times. Question time at council meetings provide an opportunity for members of the public in the gallery to address questions to the councillors, delegates or officers of Greater Dandenong City Council. Questions must be complied with S.4.5.8 of Council's governance rules. Ms Vettel.
Thank you, Mayor. And before I read out the questions, I just wish to outline that the questions submitted for consideration at this meeting may contain opinions, assertions or views expressed by the individuals who have submitted them. Council wishes to make clear that the tabling of these questions does not constitute an endorsement, adoption or expression of support by Council for any opinion or view contained within them. So the first question this evening is from Binay Prasad of Noble Park, and it concerns access to animal ranger support outside business hours? Why does council not have an out-of-hours animal ranger service? On Saturday, the 14th of March, I was at the skate park at John Hemmings Memorial Park, Dandenong, with my 8-year-old son. A man walked past with 2 large dogs which looked like American pit bulls. The dogs were not on a lead and were running around. The man came and sat at some seating near the skate park, and his dogs were running around and looking aggressive. My son was really scared of the dogs. I was also scared, given that American pit bulls can be dangerous to young children. We eventually decided to leave the skate park, which was disappointing as my son was previously enjoying himself there. I later rang the council's after-hours service and was told that as the dogs had not attacked anyone, I'd have to call the ranger during business hours. This is not acceptable. I needed a ranger to attend the park to tell this man he needed to put his dogs on a lead or move from a children's play area. What's the point of having laws prohibiting off-lead dogs near a children's play area if council will not enforce the laws? Can I ask Mr Manavasagasavam to respond, please?
Through you, Mayor. Thank you for your question, Binay. Council understands and acknowledges the concern raised regarding dogs off-lead near a children's play area and the distress this situation caused to the residents and their child. Council does have annual management enforcement available on weekends during business hours. For these types of situations, it is important that reports are made by phone at the time the issue is occurring. When a report is received while the incident is underway, rangers can attend soon as practicable to assess the situation, speak with the dog owner, and take enforcement action where appropriate. If a report is made sometime after the incident, there is a risk that the individual and the dogs may no longer be present, limiting the ability for immediate enforcement. Where council receives reports of dog off lead or concerning behavior, even if attendance is not possible at that time, rangers will always record the information and undertake proactive patrols of the area over the subsequent weeks. In some cases, officers may also contact the person who made the report to obtain further information, such as the usual time of the day, the individual attendance, the location, to assist with the targeted patrols. Council take enforcement of off-leash requirements near playgrounds and children's activity areas seriously, as these laws exist to protect community safety and amenity. Council encourages residents to report any concerns about dog off-lead or aggressive behavior as soon as they occur, so the officers can respond promptly to take appropriate action to ensure public safety. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Ms. Verrill. Next question.
Thank you. Our next series of questions is from Leon of Caulfield North, and they concerned oversight, funding and legal compliance of Dandenong Market Management. I'm going to read all 3 questions and then ask Mr Manavasagasavam to respond. So, question 1, at the council meeting to be held in May 26, would the Mayor then confirm or explain the view that because Dandenong Market Proprietary Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Greater Dandenong City Council, whether or not several state-level and corporate oversight bodies have the authority to investigate allegations of financial misuse or poor management of the Dandenong market and advise those bodies? Question 2. On Tuesday, March 31, it's my understanding the City of Melbourne passed a motion to initiate an independent review of how Queen Victoria Market is managed and governed. I asked the Mayor to advise at the May Council meeting if funding was set aside in the 26-27 budget to facilitate a similar independent review of the management and governance of the Dandenong market. Through the chairperson, I request the following legal view be handed to all councillors to facilitate a response at the next council meeting to the question which follows at the end of the opinion. When a commercial landlord undertakes non-essential improvements or upgrades, they must balance their desire to improve the property with their legal obligations to the tenant trader. The core of these obligations revolves around quiet enjoyment, non-derogation from the grant of the lease and contractual obligations within the lease itself. Non-essential works do not excuse a landlord from disrupting a business. Generally, a landlord must take all reasonable steps to minimise disruption during renovations. The landlord must not substantially interfere with the tenant's lawful use and enjoyment of the premises. Substantial noise or reduced accessibility can breach this obligation. The landlord cannot act in a way that defeats the purpose for which the lease was granted. For instance, if a landlord's improvement work makes the shop unusable for its intended purpose, it is a breach. Landlords are typically required to take reasonable steps to minimise disruption to the tenant's business during construction works. Landlords should notify tenants in advance of works that may affect the business. In many jurisdictions, a landlord is liable to pay reasonable compensation if they interrupt a tenant's business without reasonable cause. If a part of the premises becomes unusable due to the works, the tenants may be entitled to a reduction in rent. Tenants can claim compensation for lost profits if they can prove the works caused the business loss. Question 3. At the council meeting to be held in May 2026, would the Mayor convey to the council, the public and the market traders of how the legal requirements inherent in the advice above will be complied with? Can I ask Mr Manavasagasavam to respond, please?
Through you, Mayor, thank you for your question, Leon. Dandenong Market Private Limited follows same laws as all companies in Victoria. For complaints or evidence of mismanagement, contact the DMPL Audit Committee or relevant state agency at the first instant. The Council is satisfied with DMPL's management of its lease and license commitment, so it does not plan to include a review as outlined in the 26-27 budget. The DMPL board is solely responsible for managing stallholders' relationships, both contractually and commercially, making it inappropriate for the Council to comment on behalf of DMPL regarding this issue. We encourage you to work with DMPL management on this matter. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms Vettel. Next question.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next question is from Gay Guest of Keysborough and it concerns syringes, litter and bin management in Douglas Street, Noble Park. On Thursday, walking from Frank Street car park to Douglas Street through Bank Lane, 18 Douglas Street, I was dismayed to see 4 syringes and many prep pad sachets littering the laneway, as was rubbish. Not on a windy day, swirling in the air and on the ground around the lane as it was in a wind tunnel, even on the calmest days. There are 3 bins in the lane at the Douglas Street entrance to the lane. One doesn't have a lid. Who put these bins there and who monitors them so they are emptied? Can I ask Mr Manavasagasavan to respond, please?
Through you, Mayor, thank you for your question, Gay. Thank you for bringing your concerns to Council attention. A cleansing officer attended the site on Saturday and removed the syringes and litter from the laneway. The bins are not council asset and believed to belong one of the adjacent businesses. We will follow this up in the coming week. Thank you again for notifying us. Should you wish to report any further issues requiring attention, please contact Council Customer Service Team or use Snaps and Solve. Thanks.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And our next question is also from Gay Guest of Keysborough. And there's 2 questions, which I'm going to read both of them, and Ms Gillies can respond. My first question is, my immediate reaction was to phone council and put in a report and speak to a member of the local cleansing team in regards to drug use and public safety concerns in Noble Park. Yesterday I was told that when St Columba's installed their fences, it had stopped parishioners picking up many syringes that littered their car park and grounds daily. The syringes in one day would fill a yellow syringe container. Now there might be 1 or 2 on a weekly basis. Years ago we had drug action forum groups because drug taking was rampant. It appears we may have to reinstate such organisations again. What's been done to combat this problem, as the ripple effect appears that chase drug users away from one spot, they quickly find another. The second question, the biggest disappointment is that our ward councillors are not concentrating on the real local issues themselves, rather being more interested in being part of the party publicly and not engaging with residents on their concerns or physically looking to see what is happening in their own wards. Apartment towers in our suburbs are only going to increase these antisocial issues because of the clientele that we now fear will live there or frequent them. How will this problem be managed and combated ongoing? Can I ask Ms Gillies, Executive Director for Community Strengthening, to respond?
Through you, Mayor. Thanks very much, Gay, for your question. And certainly we acknowledge the community concern around drug use and its impact on safety, wellbeing and the amenity of public space. We do take a coordinated multi-agency approach through the local drug action team, working with community organisations, health services, Victoria Police and other stakeholders to deliver local projects and practical actions that reduce harm and address problem areas. We also work with Victoria Police through the neighbourhood policing team, sharing local issues via a community issues register, which supports some monitoring and targeted patrols where needed. We participate in the Community Safety Partnership, bringing together senior representatives to share intelligence, identify risks and coordinate action to minimise antisocial behaviour and reduce harm. Though I fully acknowledge this is a complex problem and not something that we have been, nor likely will be able to solve. Operationally, Council's cleansing team does monitor hotspots and responds to reports of discarded injecting equipment. Syringe disposal units are checked regularly and unsafe waste is collected in line with the public health and safety procedures to maintain amenity and safety across the municipality. In addition, and to question 2 particularly, we are developing a community safety strategy informed by community consultation that's been undertaken. And this includes local engagement and surveys to identify priority safety issues, much of which we've also gathered significant data on over the past years, as well as through community safety forums with VicPol and other stakeholders. The strategy will take a place-based approach focused on prevention, early intervention and coordinated local action. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Bedell. Next question.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next question is from Terry Wilkinson of Keysborough and concerns the future of squash courts and community wellbeing. So I'll read the 3 questions and then ask Ms Gillies to respond. Question 1. How can Council leverage the existing squash courts to both achieve its physical activity goals and avoid the proposed $2 million demolition cost? Question 2. Given that older men are at higher risk of social isolation, how does removing a long-standing community hub align with Council's commitment to health, wellbeing and inclusion? And question 3, what opportunities exist for Council to retain and enhance the squash courts as a cost-effective way to support participation, social connection and community health after the seemingly reckless decision to not include just 3 new squash courts in the massive $122 million wellbeing centre that promotes getting more people more active more often? Can I ask Ms Gillies to respond, please?
Through you, Mayor, and thanks very much, Terry, for your questions. Over a number of years, Council has carefully considered options for the future of Dandenong Oasis, including the potential retention of the squash courts. However, Oasis is at the end of its operational life, which is the primary reason for the construction of the new Dandenong Wellbeing Centre. Retaining the Oasis site in any form will have capital and ongoing cost implications for Council. Isolating the squash courts from the closed portions of the facilities, i.e. the aquatics and pools, plant rooms and other services, and modifying building systems such as air handling to suit change and reduce use would exceed the demolition costs, as well as ongoing operational and maintenance costs which are not budgeted for. Therefore, any decision to change the current direction would be subject to a future or an alternate decision of Council, and that's an alternate to the current direction that has been determined by Council. Council does remain strongly committed to health, wellbeing and social inclusion, including from groups of higher risk of isolation. The principles are underpinned in the planning and design of Dandenong Wellbeing Centre from the outset. Between 2019 and 2021, Council undertook a multi-round community engagement process involving more than 2,400 engagements. Our records show this included surveys, workshops, targeted outreach, public exhibition, and it also sought directly to obtain input from regular facility users and other groups. Specific efforts were made, our records show, specific efforts were made to engage squash users at the time through direct invitations, though take-up was limited. In relation Sorry, there's some other questions. That was the end of those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And we have another question on the future of squash courts and community wellbeing from Niall of Dandenong. Question 1, does Council acknowledge that with the loss of courts in surrounding areas, Beaconsfield and Cranbourne, Dandenong Oasis has effectively become a key squash venue for the wider region, and if so, why is that role not being maintained in the redevelopment? Question 2, given that Dandenong Oasis is being redeveloped with over 100 million in public funding and the courts are often in high demand in the evening time between 5:30 to 8:30 p.m, what specific analysis did Council undertake on participation rates and future demand for squash before deciding to exclude any squash courts from the facility? Can I ask Ms Gillies to respond, please?
Through you, Mayor. Thanks very much, Niall, for your questions. In addition to what I just outlined, the decision not to include squash courts in the new centre was not taken lightly. It was informed by industry participation data, utilisation rates, community consultation, and the objective of maximising health, wellbeing and inclusion outcomes for the greatest number of our residents. Despite the noted closure of other squash facilities over recent years outside of the city of Greater Dandenong, squash participation at Dandenong Oasis has continued to consistently decline over the past 4 years, with an average number of users of 6 per day, with 95% of all participation occurring between 5:30 and 8:30 p.m, which is reflected in our utilisation data. Officers have reviewed facilities in the area that offer the same, if not better, facilities for squash and other racket sports, and understand that facilities such as Monash Clayton have extensive squash facilities with membership options or casual bookable spaces available during the peak times that they're currently used at Dandenong Oasis. Notwithstanding any potential future decision of Council regarding these facilities, it would be very helpful to further these conversations if and when helpful with some of our surrounding facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for the next question, I just wish to declare a conflict of interest in relation to agenda item 3, public question time, especially a question in relation to Commonwealth. The conflict is material conflict of interest under section 128 of the Local Government Act 2020. My business or employment relationships that now will leave the room and will not return until this matter has been discussed and voted on. I'm going to ask Deputy Mayor to take the chair. Thank you.
Ready to continue. Mr Burke, Chief Financial Officer.
No, I'll read the question first. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So this question is from Afaf Al-Fawal, and the question concerns an overview of Council's banking, investment and ethical due diligence. So I'm going to read 3 questions, which Mr Burke, our Chief Financial Officer, will then respond to. Question 1. Given Council holds significant term deposits with the Commonwealth Bank, will Council conduct and publish an audit of its banking and investment arrangements to identify any exposure or links to defence or weapons financing? Question 2. Furthermore, what due diligence has Council undertaken to assess whether its banking provider finances companies involved in armed conflict? And question 3. Lastly, will Council commit to adopting an ethical banking and investment policy to make sure funds are not directly linked to human rights abuses? Thank you. Can I ask Mr Burke to respond?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you for the question, Afaf. I'll take questions 1 and 2 firstly. Council's investment activities are governed by its adopted investment policy, which is prepared in accordance with the Local Government Act 2020 and the Charter of Human Rights and Responsibilities Victoria. Under that framework, Council is legislatively required to invest surplus funds only in approved, low-risk investment products, such as authorised deposit-taking institutions, otherwise known as ADIs, government securities or other minister-approved investment vehicles. Council can review its policy in light of the issues raised in this question. Council does not propose to undertake or publish a separate audit of banking institutions' global financing activities. However, Council's investments are transparently reported through quarterly investment reports to Council and are subject to external audit scrutiny. Just in terms of question 3, Council already has an adopted investment policy that incorporates responsible investment principles and explicitly considers environmental, social and governance factors, otherwise known as ESG. The policy allows Council to preference ethically aligned investment products, including green and fossil fuel-free options, where they're available, compliant with legislation and deliver equivalent financial returns without increasing risk to public funds. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Burke. I now call the Mayor to return to the Chair.
Ms. Beryl?
Thank you, Mayor. And our last question is from Juanita Spinelli of Frankston. And the question is, Free Palestine Dandenong requests that Greater Dandenong City Council takes immediate action to allocate specific funding to the local Lebanese community and facilitate support services to implement crisis support services, counselling and wellbeing, financial, medical and referral to other required services by the 18th of May 2026 or the next scheduled council meeting. Further, that council facilitate and support the Lebanese community to uphold a public vigil and memorial in consultation with members of the Lebanese community affected by the genocidal attacks on the people of Lebanon at the hands of Israel and the USA. So I want to thank Ms Spinelli for the question. I'll need to take it on notice this evening, but certainly we'll consider her question carefully, speak to her about grants and things that would be available, and also work with the council around the request for a public vigil and memorial. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beryl. Now we're going to go to next item. So item 4, officers' reports. Part 2, so 4.1, policy and strategy. 4.1.1, review of council policies. I will need a mover for this item, please. Councillor Riley, move. Seconder? Philip Dan. Are there any questions? Yes, Councillor Garrard.
Through you, Mayor, the second policy earmarked for disposal in this item is the community gardens policy, and it states that it is being abolished because it's not required. However, the council currently auspices 2 community gardens, and they are current. Without a community gardens policy, how will the council continue to auspice those community gardens?
Thank you. Could I please ask Mr. Manifagasa Sivam to respond, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Through Mayor, the current policy why we are recommending for abolition is our open space strategy, and also recently adopted our Bright Green Future strategy accommodate all of those requirements. And also this policy is over the last 5 years it hasn't been used at all, and also any establishment on community gardens will be maintained as it's developed. So we'll still support those community gardens, and also any community gardens wanted to establish, yes, we will assist them through that process as well.
Thank you. Councillor Garrard.
Sorry, look, I wasn't really able to hear, but just an answer to the question. We have current community gardens that we auspice. They are using the policy given to them by the council. They understand they are auspiced by the council. Are we saying we will no longer auspice any community? Are we saying we will not have any relation with the community gardens that we auspice currently?
No, that's not true. It's more around the policy is duplication of other policies, and that's why we are saying we'll definitely work with the community gardens. Those 2 community gardens, our staff already working with them, and we'll continue to work with them. There is no change in that relationship. That will continue.
Any further questions? No?
Sorry, thank you,
Councillor
sorry,
Dole?
Mayor. Thank you. I had a few questions for Sanjay. I believe some of them was answered in your response to Councillor Garrard, so I'll just move on to the next relevant question that I have. How will council ensure, I'll just read them all out, and Sanjay, you can do them all in one reply. How will council ensure consistency and fairness in assessing future community garden proposals once the standalone policy is abolished, understanding that this may be related to the new Brighter Green future strategy that we're doing. But can we please confirm whether the abolition of this policy has any implications for existing community gardens, leases or licenses, and their future security of tenure? In particular, one example that comes out to me is the Vespertine Gardens and the Greenlink Sandbelt Indigenous Nursery, which is looking for her new home. And how will the internal framework continue to reflect Council's climate emergency, food security and community wellbeing commitments that were explicitly referenced in the formal policy? And will officers be able to provide a periodic update to councillors on how community garden requests are being managed under the new arrangements or the new combined strategic framework that we have recently pushed through?
Mr. Manif.
So essentially, you've just outlined the safeguards for our community gardens policy. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your question, and through you, Mayor. So I'll answer all of them together. So our open space strategy outlines around community gardens and how we'll treat them in our open space. So we'll use that as a consistent approach to assess any new applications comes in, and also the current existing community gardens on our lands. That's any leasing and licensing arrangement. We'll review that as part of when it comes to the renewal of that. But community garden support wise, we'll continue to provide that support to them. Any external, any new community garden establishment, we're happy to work with them to assist them in finding a location and through our process. And also, we are happy to report any, like over the last 4 or 5 years, we haven't had any new applications. But if anything comes up, I'm happy to report that to council on the process and how we are able to assist them in establishing that.
Thank you. Any further question? No. Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, the item is carried. Okay, abstained by Councillor Garrard. Item 4.1.2, Community Facilities Access and Use Policy. Do you have a mover on this item, please? Councillor O'Reilly, seconded by Councillor Dole. Are there any questions? Yes, Councillor Garrard.
Thank you. The promise of this, this is the procurement policy, just to confirm.
There's Community Facilities Access and Use Policy.
The intent of this policy is to make the facilities more easy to access. I personally received a lot of complaints, and the nature of those complaints are around the manual handling of requests to use facilities, in that it takes a long time for staff to get back or confirm dates, or they confirm them late, or they don't have the authority to make decisions and have to defer to others. So my question is, many councils have an automatic booking system. Can you confirm that we will be getting an automatic booking system to make this an easier process, and what the time frame on that might be?
Thank you. Ms. Killies?
Through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Garrard, for your question. So firstly, if you have that feedback that you've received, I'd really love the opportunity to have visibility of that so I can follow up to see where those issues have occurred. Our analysis of the data shows that it's actually very responsive. Bookable has taken a while to get implemented. However, we've now got it in place. We had to do quite a bit of testing internally first. There is still, so community members can go online and book. There is certainly still an element where the team do have to essentially check the proposed booking and confirm it before it is confirmed, and that's in case there's been other bookings come through in the meantime. But certainly we're working towards a process where it is fully automated. In terms of time frame for that, I can take that on notice and come back to you. But we're certainly utilising that system a lot more comprehensively than what we have done previously to improve the user experience, and certainly that's been one of the key pieces of feedback for years from the community, is around the ease of access, being able to log on at 10 o'clock at night and see where there might be a room available, see what the cost might be, and then make those bookings. Certainly with the new proposed framework, it also makes it a lot simpler in terms of defining for the community what potential deposits might be required, and or depending on the size or scale of the booking, other things such as security and the like. So that should make it far easier for community. But please do send through anything that I could look at in terms of contrary information to that.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Is there any opposition? There's no opposition. The item is carried. Item 4.1.3, Volunteer Policy Review. Any mover to this item? Councillor Garrard, seconded by Councillor Raleigh. Are there any questions on this item? Is there any opposition? There's no opposition. The item is carried. Item 4.1.4, Procurement Policy Review. Any mover?
Happy to move that, Mayor.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Dan, seconded by Councillor Garrard. Are there any questions? Yes, Councillor Garrard.
Through you, Mayor, what measurable targets are in place to ensure local businesses and social enterprises actually benefit through this policy?
Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. The great thing about this new policy, it sets clear boundaries in terms of both financial benefits but also social benefits. So we will be making sure that we measure outcomes as a result of this policy being implemented, and that will be tracking, not just financial metrics but social metrics as well.
Thank you. Any further questions? No? Is there any opposition? There's no opposition. The item's carried. Item 4.1.5, Vehicle Charging Infrastructure Policy. Is there a mover to this item, please? Moved by Councillor Garrard, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dan. Any questions, Councillor Garrard?
Thank you, Mayor. What do we actually know about the utilisation of the car share service? We have, I think in the 6 years I've been on council, it hasn't changed in terms of the number of spaces provided. Do we have any actual utilisation rate or trend data relating to use of car share?
Through you, Mayor, I don't have that trend data at the moment, but my staff monitor that one. We are working with multiple private businesses to improve that opportunities, but once I got the information, I'm happy to share that with the councillors.
Thank you. Any further question, Councillor Milkovich?
Me? Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mayor. Just a question regarding some of the information here in regards to the public electric vehicle charging infrastructure. It says the electric vehicles are anticipated to make up to 22 to 64% of new vehicles sold in Australia by 2030. And I've done a quick Google search here to say that states that current rate of the new vehicle as of early 2026 is only between 11.8 to 12.1%. This is a pretty wide range, 22% to 64%. I just want to make sure that we're making the investment in this particular item into public charging infrastructure based on real factual things and not just on an imagination of, people, because 22 to 64% is a huge variance. Can I get an explanation how we've come about this information and where it was derived from? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manif Sivam.
Through you, Mayor, so this information we prepared that a long time ago, so the current situation may have changed the use of electric vehicles or the sales, but I'm happy for the team to have a check and then make sure that we got the right figures in there. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, well, that'll be great because, like I said, I can kind of envisage maybe 22% in 4 years, or another, not 8%, but another 40 or 52%. That seems a bit far-fetched, even in the best circumstances. I don't think there's that many vehicles produced, actually. Another quick question was, in regards to the providing the uptake of the public charging stations, how many council-owned do we have at the moment? First question, that we actually run, and do we charge for those? And what is the proposal in regards to how many do we want to enable and put into work? And will we charge for those, or will they be free of charge? Thank you.
Through you, Mayor. Currently, we only have the public can access is the Springwell libraries, the only area the public can access for charging, and all the other charges are in council facilities which are not available for public to charge. Currently, we don't charge any cost to that. That's one of the things we need to review that over the next few years around the council policy on charging for the public use. And also for expanding, we are currently working with number of private providers to provide further charging locations in Greater Dandenong. But at that time, the council will only provide the location, not any other facilities at that time.
Would there be, sorry, just another quick one, supplementary, would there be any rent payable to council from leasing of the land or facilities for installment or for installation by the private companies?
Yes, so when we allocate the car park or the location, it will be a commercial arrangement between those companies, and it will be a tender process. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Riley.
Thank you, Mayor. Also to do with the electric car usage of charging facilities. From what I'm picking up in the media, since the fuel crisis, new electric cars are right up as far as the percentage of cars being purchased. So just wanted to know, and given that the fuel crisis may be extended for quite a period, has that informed, or have those latest figures informed our policy? Because, like they're saying, not in I haven't heard in Greater Dandenong, but in like other council areas, there's queues for charges, and they're just really, probably the wrong metaphor, but like under the pump as far as the charging facilities. So I just wanted to know if the latest uptick of electric car purchases have informed our policy. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Manifagasa Silva.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Yeah, so this policy encourages for more electric car users, and also the council role in this one is around actually providing the opportunities for any charging companies to access council car park. So that's where we are playing an active role in that one. And also we are currently having number of discussions with number of commercial charging companies to expand that into Greater Dandenong. If that comes through, yes, we'll see more charging locations, and also companies will now realize that because of the current situation, it is essential to have that opportunities. Council will work with them on where it's possible and where we can allocate some car parks for charging locations.
Thank you. Any further questions? No. Is there any opposition? There's no opposition. The item is carried. Next item, 4.2, other. 4.2.1, recommended appointments for membership of Disability Advisory Committee. Is there a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Garrard, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dan. Any questions? Councillor Dole, you got a question?
Oh, no, that was just to move it, sorry.
Okay, sorry. Are there any questions? Sorry, I saw you too late. No questions? Is there any opposition? There's no opposition, the item's carried. Item 4.2.2, Advisory Committee meetings, draft minutes. Any mover, please?
Happy to move it.
Councillor Garrard moves, seconded by Councillor Dole. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? No opposition, the item's carried. Next item, 4.2.3, Multicultural and People Seeking Asylum Advisory Committee draft minutes.
Happy to second that.
Moved by Councillor Mamidi, seconded by Councillor Formosa. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? No opposition. The item is carried. Item 4.2.4, yes, Dandenong Market Pty Ltd, Chairperson and Director appointment.
Mayor, I'd like to declare a conflict of interest in relation to agenda item 4.2.4, Dandenong Market Pty Limited, Chairperson Director appointment. I have a material conflict of interest under section 128 of the Local Government Act 2020. I'm a director of a company that has a stall at the Dandenong Market, so I'll remove myself from the meeting.
Thanks. Okay, is there a mover to this item, please? Councillor Riley, seconded by Councillor Garrard. Are there any questions? No questions? Question? No? Is there any opposition? No opposition, the item's carried. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to take this opportunity to thank the outgoing Chair, Ms Donna McMaster, who has held that position for a number of years, 9 years, and I wish to thank her for her dedication and professionalism over that time and, her shepherding of the market for almost a decade. In addition, I would like to welcome the new Chair, Ms Alison Smith, to the appointment, and I look forward to working with her and meeting her.
Thank you. Could someone please call Councillor Mamidi back? Thanks. Okay, now we're going to go to item 4.2.5, LGBTIQA Action Plan 2026 to 2028 draft. Moved by Councillor Garrard.
Happy to second that.
Seconded by Councillor Formosa. Are there any questions? Yes, Councillor Dole. You got a question?
No, that was just to move, but I would like to comment after it has been moved.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks. No further questions. Is there any opposition? No opposition. The item's carried. Councillor Dole.
I just wanted to say thank you so much to the advisory committee, and in particular, special thanks to V, who's made a significant contribution in particular the fourth priority area of intersectional inclusion. She's been an invaluable member of the team and has stepped down from the advisory committee due to other commitments. It's fantastic to also see that this plan has been endorsed for provisionally endorsed, and we're really excited to see it again in July for full endorsement. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to state what a great milestone this is. This is, in fact, our first action plan from the committee, and I really encourage the community to engage with this as it goes out for public consultation. It's a really important document, and it's really important that the community endorse this and support it. And I too, like Councillor Dole, would like to thank everybody involved.
Thank you. So we're going to move to next item, 4.2.6, naming of Dandenong Wellbeing Centre. Moved by Philip Dunn, seconded by Councillor Milkovich. Are there any questions? Is there any opposition? As there's no opposition, the item's carried. Deputy Mayor Dunn.
Thanks very much, Mayor. Just really quickly, as Council's representative on the South East Leisure Board, just want to briefly thank everyone in the community who took the time to participate in the consultation and for sharing their feedback throughout the survey process. Now that the site has a name, this is starting to feel very real. And delivering a facility on this scale, of course, will be a significant challenge, but a challenge that Council and the Board is well prepared to take on together. So I look forward to hearing from the community on any more feedback regarding the site going forward, but otherwise this is a very welcome step.
Thank you. Item 4.2.7, Audit and Risk Committee Self-Assessment Survey. Is there a mover, please? Councillor Jim Ameti, seconded by Councillor Garrard. Are there any questions? Yes, Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. Firstly, I do want to acknowledge that the Audit and Risk Committee are demonstrating continuous improvement through this audit process, which is great. My question is around the provision of trend data. The results of one isolated survey in and of themselves are not that helpful. So my question is it possible to put to the committee that in future we actually provide to us trend data so we can see continuous improvement over a period of time?
Thank you, Ms. Hajari.
Through you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Garrett. Yes, we note your points and we definitely look at that in our upcoming reports. Yeah, sure.
Any further questions? Is there any opposition? No opposition, items carried. Next item, 4.2.8, Burbank 64 Chatham Road, Dandenong, variation to Section 173 agreement. Is there a mover, please?
Happy to move it.
Moved by Councillor Mikulj. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Dan. Are there any questions? Yes, Councillor Garrard.
It's difficult to assess this item without the understanding of the agreement. Council just briefly outlined the original agreement and how this variation stems from that, and also how it delivers on the initial promise of this Section 173, which was around the benefit back to community.
Thank you. Mr. Manifagasa Sivam.
Through you, Mayor. So the initial agreement was when the property was sold to them is to develop that, and part of the development, the Burbank provided a multi-story affordable housing and social housing project. And now after going through on this side, they looked at the opportunities, and there are a number of other parcels being developed similar to that. And looking at variety of housing opportunities, they are proposing now it's a 3-bedroom, 3-story housing to provide that, and which is viable to establish that. They've been trying to develop this site for the last 10 years, and they are confident that this model would help them to develop that opportunities, and that's why we are supporting that opportunities. And the other option is council still got a call option to do that. We can always call that, but in the nature of the development and the housing choices, this is a good opportunity to develop that with the three-story townhouses.
Thank you. Any further questions? No. Is there an opposition? There's no opposition. The item's carried. Item 4.2.9, report on matters discussed at councillors' briefing sessions and pre-council meetings. Moved by Councillor Mamedi, seconded by Councillor Garrard. Are there any questions? No questions. Is there opposition? No opposition. The item is carried. Item 4.2.10, list of registered correspondence to Mayor and councillors. Moved by Councillor Mamedi. Seconder? Anyone?
Happy to second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Dan. Are there any questions? No questions. Is there any opposition? No opposition. The item is carried. Okay, so we've got up to item 5, notice of motion, 5.1, notice of motion number 18, planning the future of cultural infrastructure at Burnham Park. There's a conflict of interest, Councillor Lay.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Alice Phung Lai. I wish to declare conflict of interest in relation to agenda each item. Planning of the future of planning for the Samvak communities Vietnamese. So I declare conflict of genuine conflict of interest.
Thank you. You just need to leave the room and then come back. Thank you. Is that mover?
Yeah, happy to move that.
Seconded by Councillor O'Reilly. Are there any questions, Councillor Garrard and Councillor Yim?
Thank you, Mayor. My specific question is around the criteria in terms of the site investigation that the motion is asking the council to conduct. How does this criteria sit with the broader council's policy of allocating community facilities and resources to the whole community? And also, what is the particular criteria you are asking for in the council exploring sites that it may be selling off or other potential sites? What is your specific ask of the council around that request?
Deputy Mayor Dan.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Garrard, for your questions. And I would be happy to address this further as well later on. But just to answer the questions directly, the motion was drafted in a way where the language is intended to provide council officers with as much flexibility as possible to direct that conversation with the applicant and to explore the options that the applicant might be looking for in terms of availability of sites. At the very substance of this motion is a question about the appropriateness of land use and planning matters, and to ensure that any potential applications moving forward is compliant. Further to that, Mayor, I understand from my conversations with the community group that they have a list, they have their own short lists of potential sites. So it's just about providing them with that guidance to ensure that any proposed planning going forward is appropriate in terms of any potential grant applications that I might put forward and the appropriateness of the land that they might be seeking to purchase. In terms of the criteria of the land, every community group with aspirations to move forward to building a particular centre or a site, that's completely up to them. It's an independent process. But what council is doing here is to provide that guidance within its remit, which is planning and land use appropriateness. Thank you.
Thank you. Question from Councillor Yim.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is basically the same as Councillor Garrard, but I guess can I get confirmation that for points 6 and 9B that council will not be sourcing new private potential sites for Samvak?
Thank you, Mayor. In short, the answer is yes. Of course, that conversation that council officers may have with the potential applicant and the current community group is open to addressing their concerns and their questions. But overall, any process that goes through the potential for a future community centre will be one that they will be sourcing independently and free of any funds from and contributions from council, whether it's construction or operational costs. Thank you.
Thank you. Question from Councillor Milkovich.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is to a relevant officer or manager. Has council ever had a notice of motion of this kind where it is instructed to specifically assist a particular group, community group, in search for the community centre? And what are the requirements or what are the rules around a specific? Because what I understand, I mean, there's a lot of community centres around that I'm it'll be great for the Samvak to establish a community centre, but what I'm sort of a little bit not understanding is that except for the normal planning permit, which will be required for land use, site use, et cetera, buildings that are associated with, use of a community centre, what does this actually require council officers to do To what extent and to what value? And has it been done before? Because while I don't mind council assisting particular community group in search or assisting with maybe an advice, I wouldn't like this to be turned into a wild goose chase for the council officers where a numerous amount of hours are spent on something that doesn't deliver any result. Because as we know, any notice of motion needs to have a big cap value, otherwise it needs to become a report. I'm just not concerned, but I'm just wondering how this will be managed and whether it was done before or any other community group. Thank you.
Ms. Hajari.
Through you, Mayor. Thank you for your question, Councillor Milkovich. Of course, I have been in the City of Greater Dandenong for the last 2 years, so I cannot confirm all of the notice of motion in that sense. But in terms of the principle of the notice of motion, you are right. We are very conscious of the limit we have. And this is really asking us two main things. At the moment, as you know, the group are using one of our assets, and we are just confirming that before 11th of May, we will have the conversation to confirm they can extend and stay for a period of time before any further demolition of the place that they are, which is the usual things that we'll do. The second one, in terms of the potential sites, they will provide. It is not about the ongoing, just going back and forward with the community. It is like the planning assessment that we will provide for the community when they have asked questions around that. This is, of course, the councillor's decision to put these kind of requests in the motion and move that motion. But in terms of our principles around the notice of motion, I confirm it's not exceeding the time of the officers and any extra things for doing for the specific groups that we won't provide to the other groups. But the way that we are supporting CEMVAC through this notice of motion, that was what provided by the Deputy Mayor and the resolution through the council decisions. But it's not exceeding any further things that we want to do for the other committee group. We are here to support the committee group. The main important things in the notice of motion is that council is not providing any funding or any land or anything for the specific committee ethnic and specific ethnic single ethnic groups, which is aligned with our policies. It's just a support in the very particular ways that has been aligned in the number 9 and 6. I hope it helps.
Thank you. Further question,
Thank you.
Councillor
Maybe to the mover of the motion, I've noticed that I think it was in either in an email or in the report or something that one of the most preferred site was actually a council-owned site. Has CEMVAC got any other plans, like backup plans in regards to if this doesn't happen? Because I'm not understanding. What I would like to avoid at any cost is that the pressures applied to council to dispose of an asset in council ownership for any community group, with no offence to CEMVAC, unless it is by determination of the council or by the desire or by need of the council. So is there any backup plan in regards to if negotiations or if the proposal for the purchase of this site, which I don't think we have at the moment, correct me if I'm wrong, happens, what would they do? And also maybe a second part of that question is to a manager, which I've forgotten, to a director. What is the length of the proposed duration of the extension of the lease in Burton Park, or when is the demolition postponed by, so that we can sort of get a bit of an idea what sort of time frame are we working with? Is this next month, next year, 5 years, 10 years, or whatever? Because that'll all be relative to determining how much assistance is required to CEMVAC to be within the council rules. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Milkovich. So the direct answer to yours in regards to a backup plan is yes. In my understanding through conversations with them, they do have potential other sites that they are looking at. It's been made very clear to them as well that any sort of partnership that they are wanting with a council-owned facility or land is subject to the same processes as would be applied to everyone else. Ideally, the easiest way for them, I think, in my view anyway, to progress with this matter is to find their own private site somewhere else that's currently on the market. But at the end of the day, this is an independent process, and the role of the council here is just to provide advice on planning matters, and also given that CEMVAC is currently a tenant at the Burton Park precinct, this is well within council's powers as a landlord and as the asset manager as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Councillor Mamedi?
Reading this notice of motion.
Ah. Okay.
Through you, Mayor. And Councillor Milkovich, I understand you want to know the duration of the extension of the lease that we will want to discuss with Sembach in the Burden Park.
Well, there was a master plan, as far as I know, for Burden Park, but I think under the current circumstances, financial, etc., that master plan is not going to get implemented next month or any time. What's the sort of time frame that we're working with for obviously securing their lease within the Burden Park while they're searching for this new land site or facility?
Thank you for your question. That's a very good question. With the reviewing of all of the capital works and our situation with our capital works, you are right, we have the master plan, but in the timing of our capital works and the project underway, we anticipate that the implementation of this master plan won't start at least in the next 5 years. So that's the time frame we have. So demolition won't start in the next 5 years. And that's why we will have the conversation with Sembach to go through another lease with them for the period of time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mamedi?
Yeah, my question was, because it stipulates in a couple of places here about the lease. Haven't we organised a lease with them yet?
Ms.
Through you,
Hajari?
Mayor, and thank you for your question. We are not organising a list for them. They identified a few sites that some of them was council land, some of them we find out that they are the private. We're just providing them the suitability of these lands, which not in the council lands, the ones that was, for example, the private and the others. So we are not providing the list. The number 6 that you are talking about, it's the work that we will undertake. And if there is any opportunity similar to the other committees, we will share with them.
I think Councillor Mamedi asked about the Burnett Park.
9A stipulates that it requests council officers to meet with Sembach by 11th of May to discuss the extension of their current lease at the Burden Park precinct. So you must, by 11th of May, offer them a lease under this notice of motion. Are you able to do that by 11th of May?
Yes, we do, Councillor, because we already had with our building condition assessment. So that was one of the main important points that we want to make sure that we have the condition assessment is ready, and we are planning to meet with them and have the discussion with them.
I was concerned that if you weren't ready to offer them a lease, maybe we should change that date. But if you are prepared to offer them a lease by the 11th of May, that's what the notice of motion stipulates. I was just looking at for council whether we can commit to that. So if you're saying we have a plan and ready to offer them a release by the 11th of May, which is only two and a half weeks away.
Sorry, I think it says that by the 11th of May to discuss the extension of their lease. It's not to say that it has to be signed.
To my understanding, they are in discussions.
Well, I know, but I'm saying it only says that, I'm not sure that this is the understanding, that so the meeting needs to take place to discuss the extension, not secure the lease per se, because, I mean, if any of the parties offers unfavourable terms, one way or the other, then obviously the lease will not be signed and the agreement can't be reached. So,
just to clarify, my understanding is that we've been going to and fro, so we are discussing. It's been open discussion up to now, so they're really wanting a lease.
Ms. Hajari, can you confirm that, please?
Through you, Mayor, and thank you, both Councillor Mehmeti and Councillor Milkovich, for clarifying. Yes, this is for discussion, and the reason we hadn't had this discussion because we were waiting for the result of our building condition assessment to see if these places are ready to start the discussion. As Councillor Milkovich is saying, that's why, and it was in the conversation with Deputy Mayor, that we will meet them before 11th of May, but of course we have to go through the process to finalize that. But thank you for asking the question and clarify.
I got a question from Councillor Dole. Councillor Dole, when you're ready. We can't hear you.
Sorry, that was my fault. I forgot that I was on mute. So I understand the current notice of motion that has been put forward by Councillor Dunn. My concern is predominantly with the expectations on from Sembach. In particular, their request really, as I understand, is that my understanding is that Sembach actually proposes the following two potential sites, which is the 502 to 516 on Springvale Road in Springvale South, which is a council-owned site, and the alternative option is 1 to 3 Lightwood Road in Springvale, which I believe currently houses the Springvale Neighbourhood House. I understand that they are open to other suitable land or sites that council may recommend, and that Councillor Dunn has sort of explicitly stated that, the path forward should be private. But I do understand that some of their expectations from the City of Greater Dandenong is support through land partnership, planning collaboration, and recognition as a project partner. So I just am a little bit, I guess, from my side, I just want to make sure that, I guess, all parties understand sort of what we're actually offering through this motion and what things are being discussed outside of this motion. I do understand that they are looking to get community fundraising partnerships and in-kind support. But I think, as mentioned by, Councillor Milkovich, we don't want to be seen as prioritising one community over the other, and any potential sort of for other communities sort of to follow the same way and go through this, notice of motion when there is a process that council already does follow.
Thank you. Anything you want to comment, Ms.? No?
Sorry, just to close the loop on Councillor Do's comments. I think just I believe the question you asked was around expectation. They're very clear that the expectation of this motion is specifically about land use and the appropriateness of potential sites when it comes to planning matters, and they're looking for that comfort and advice first and foremost. Thanks.
Thank you. For the question.
Thank you.
Yeah, just give me a sec. Ms. Jara, want to say something?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. And Councillor Do, thank you for your question. I just want to again clarify and just make sure that this notice of motion is not about the council providing any land permanently to Sembach. And as you know, we have been approached by different groups, but our policy is very clear. We cannot support the specific ethnic groups or the specific groups for the buildings or a land on the council assets for the groups. We are really providing the inclusive multi-ethnic and multicultural hubs that we already have, and we would like that all of the groups be able to use that. It is more about the lease for the temporary time. I just wanted to clarify that. So it is not about the council lands. Maybe similar to the other groups, maybe they approach us, ask questions, but we reaffirm our policy and position around that.
Thank you, Councillor Milkovich and Councillor Formoso.
Do you want to go first, Lionel? Yeah. So just an off comment made by the manager before in regards to the assessment of the building. Now, because obviously this Burton Park has gone through a master plan because it's aged and it needs to be refurbished, etc., etc. Worst case scenario, hypothetical question, are our buildings where they're leasing at the moment fit for purpose for commercial leases? And if by any chance they are shown to not be, what is the solution then? What do we do in essence? What do we do with Sembach?
Ms. Ajari?
Through you, Mayor. As you know, they already are using these places and they continue to use that. We haven't been clear with them the time that we want to start the demolition and implement the master plan. That was, they were hurried to make, and of course they look for the more permanent ones. In terms of the fit for purpose, this is how they are using that. In terms of the building condition and asset, as I mentioned, we already went through a comprehensive building condition assessment, and the condition shows that they are fit for use in that. But in terms of how the group are using that, they already use that, and if they suits them, I think it's more about them if they wanted to continue with the lease.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Formoso, question?
Yeah, thank you. A bit concerned about and confused, to be quite frank, about some of these points in this motion. And it's contradicting some of the statements that have already been made. But I do thank Councillor Dunn for outlining both the opportunity and the consideration within this motion. Firstly, I acknowledge the significant contribution of the Vietnamese Australian community and a clear need for space that supports connection, service delivery and cultural expression. The intent to provide in principle support and assist SEMVAC in exploring external funding is constructive and timely. However, I do share a lot of the concerns here in the room, which is some of the expectations regarding management equity and precedent. You know, while there's no commitment of funding or land being...
Is that a question, Councillor Formosa?
Yeah, there will be a question. But while, if you let me finish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. While no funding or land is actually being committed here by council, this level of support may be interpreted as a pathway to council resources. And so it is important that it sits within a clear, consistent framework that can be applied fairly across all community groups. And I just don't feel that that's happening here. And yeah, in summary, I support the intent, but it's really important that it's progressed in a way that manages expectations and ensures equity and aligns with the council's broader framework. So it's a question and statement, but yeah, I'm still not convinced about this notice of motion.
Okay, do you want to... No, it's not. So now we're going to... All questions already done, so I'm going to ask, is any opposition? No opposition? Well, as no opposition, the item's carried. Councillor Riley.
Thanks, Mayor, and I will give some context that might allay some of the questions that have been asked. So I think why this motion is important is that SEMVAC would most probably need funding from potentially state and federal government. And my understanding is when organisations like SEMVAC go to state and federal government, they say, go to the council first, have you got the support of council, and vice versa, and they get bounced around all over the place. And what this motion does is give some sort of imprimatur that council is fully behind SEMVAC putting something together. And I mean, all the questions on the record at tonight's meeting have certainly provide context that council is not giving an expectation to SEMVAC that council will be a major contributor financially to this project for all the reasons that have been mentioned. But that with standing, they are in a current council facility. Council has said that that may be potentially not available in forthcoming years, and SEMVAC are diligently looking at the long-term future of housing for their organisation. So I think that with council officers offering advice to SEMVAC in navigating all the different issues that they have to put together, that should assist them with some of the road bumps to putting that funding together from the other levels of government. Now that I've said that, I'll say that SEMVAC is... How much time I got?
You got 2 minutes and us 2 minutes. You want to wrap it up?
Am I up to 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, ask for an extension, Mayor.
It's a statement.
Extension allowed under the rules?
Not for statement.
Okay, all right, I'll leave it there.
Thank you, Councillor Riley. Deputy Mayor Dan, do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, just really quickly, thank everyone for their questions tonight. I echo what Councillor O'Reilly has said. At the end of the day, this is a motion intended to assist an existing tenant of a council-owned property in terms of the future direction of where their facilities will be. Every community group is equally entitled to reach out to councillors seeking assistance, and where appropriate, one avenue includes a notice of motion. And I believe in this instance that visibility with a notice of motion is is important given the size and the level of services that SEMVAC provides. But I will conclude my remarks there. Thank you.
Thank you. Could someone please call Councillor Lay to come back, please? Oh, I didn't see your hand up. Very done. Okay, we're going to go to next item. Item 6, reports from councillors, delegate members and councillors' questions. I'll start with Councillor Milkovich.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks. Councillor Lay, you want to do your report? Questions?
Thank you, Mayor. I just have some event to go last month. So the first event is 11th of April. I'm attend event in Bengali New Year. I represent for you, make the speech. And the other event is SEMVAC Spring Festival in 2nd and 12th of April in Bun Park. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mamedi.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been a busy month, as you know as well. I attended the Noruz Festival at Dandenong Park, which Council contributes $40,000 to the event. They anticipated 10,000 people at that event, but speaking to the organisers, they say they had about 15,000 people attend the Noruz Festival at Dandenong Park. The weather was perfect. The families and everybody came out. The entertainment was great, and it was good to see our community having fun. I'd like to congratulate the Victorian Afghan Association Network on holding that event at Dandenong Park. I also attended the Dandenong Rangers versus the Casey Cavaliers women basketball at the Dandenong Stadium, where Dandenong Rangers won. And I recommend everybody, the councillors and office staff, to actually go to a game, see the condition of the stadium and see what happens in that stadium, because there's a lot of movement, and there's also going to be upgrades to the floor on the back courts. So there's a lot of things happening, but probably the basketball committee and probably the volleyball committee want more things to happen. So if councillors haven't been there for a few years, I recommend they go to a game. They've sent emails to all the councillors inviting them. So if you've got a chance, go and visit the basketball stadium. I also attended the Afghan Australian Philanthropic Association Cultural Community Volleyball over Easter. It was a great event, first time actually. They had about 8 teams who participated, had a barbecue for all the players, and it was good to have Councillor Doe with me as well that day. It was great. I think we both enjoyed the competition. We both watched the final, and it was good to be with the local Afghan Australian Philanthropic Association. I also attended the Wallowa Sandown Regency to celebrate the Sri Lankan New Year. Also, I met the following day. I was invited by the High Commissioner of Sri Lanka to discuss the Sri Lankan community, especially in the southeast suburbs. There was not people only just from Dandenong, but there was people from Casey and Cardinia as well. And that was hosted by Cassandra Fernando, the federal member for Holt. I also had the pleasure to attend the Joya Lucas Jewellery Grand Opening. If you don't know where Joya Lucas is, it's right across the road. And Joya Lucas Jewellery have 190 stores worldwide in 12 different countries. Sydney was their first in Australia, and now Melbourne Dandenong is their second store in Australia. It's a big jewellery shop, huge investment in Dandenong. Just shows that big businesses are coming to Dandenong, and there's not many empty shops. They're getting filled up pretty quickly. And it was good to have a Bollywood star come to Dandenong. Her name was Kajol Mukherjee. I looked her up on Instagram. I think she had 28 million followers, and she had about 1,000 people lined up in Lonsdale Street waiting for her to arrive at the grand opening. I thought they were there for me, but no, they weren't. They were there for Kajol, which was great to see things like that happen. You see that in movies, you know, the red carpet, the paparazzi and all that. And I thought I was in the wrong place. But anyway, I was in the right place, and it was good to welcome Joya Lucas Churi to Dandenong, Melbourne, Australia. That's why they title it. So it's good to have them here. Sustainability Festival was held at Dandenong Market, which was fantastic. Our staff do an incredible job in running the Sustainability Festival. Thousands of people attend because it's held at the Dandenong Market. It's quite convenient and also great entertainment, and the weather was fantastic again. My only question is, I've had a resident from the community send me a message just about 2 hours ago saying, and showed me a photo. I'll send it off to Mr. Mani Vasagaswam to send a letter to I guess the Minister, who's also the member for Dandenong. There's a big pothole at the Dandenong bus interchange. It's massive. I'll send you the photo if we can send it and get that urgently repaired, because it looks like an accident ready to happen. So if that's all by me, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Mamidi. Deputy Mayor Dan.
Thanks very much, Mayor. Just wanted to use the start of this time to pay tribute to a Keysborough resident, Volkan Aksoy, who tragically lost his life over the weekend when an out-of-control vehicle swerved into him at Melbourne Showgrounds. As a personal element to this as well, Volkan was known to a member of my family, and he went to school close by to here. He was a young man. He spent his last day on earth going to a comic convention with his mates. What was meant to be a joyous day resulted in tragedy. He leaves behind a very loving family, lots of grieving friends as well. So my thoughts are with Volkan's family at this time, and to many of his friends and family, he won't be forgotten. Just a question tonight regarding rubbish dumping on Namus Street in Noble Park. I believe Mr. Mani Vasagaswam has already provided me with a brief update this morning as well, but just wanted to flag that rubbish dumping along the road has started to become quite an issue again. So just something for council to monitor and keep an eye on, especially as I understand it might be on state government land as well, so some coordination going forward may be helpful in resolving that issue. I'd like to acknowledge the completion of the artwork and the pillar murals along Madura Way, which acts as a bit of a bridge between my ward and the Mayor's, between Yarrabin and Noble Park. The project was recently recognised by winning the Place Leaders Asia Pacific Indigenous Placemaking Award, speaking to how meaningful this work is. Not just as public art, but as a tool of placemaking to really add to that vibrancy and identity in our neighbourhoods. We've seen some very significant improvement around that station precinct, not over just the last 5 years, but the last 10, 15 years as well, opening up new space, movement and connection between communities. The vision behind the project builds on that momentum to add that colour and to add a bit of sense of pride as well. On the topic of safety, I also want to note that together with council staff, I recently hosted the Victoria Police Neighbourhood Forum right here in this chamber midway through last month. Community safety, of course, is a concern shared by many members of our community, and it's important to recognise that equally as important is improving that perception of safety in public spaces. Strong partnerships that Council currently has with Victoria Police and other levels of government are critical and can deliver meaningful and tangible impacts. The issue of crime isn't something Council can tackle on its own, but there are of course things that we can do within our powers to help in small ways, such as through placemaking, smart urban planning, and good design. These things include tangible things such as good lighting, activation of public spaces, and the increasing of of passive surveillance. So the projects like the one that we see at Madura Way shows how thoughtful design can really help to help people feel safer, more comfortable, more confident in using our shared spaces. I'm under no delusions at all, Mayor, that projects like these are the silver bullet to solving crime, but this is a subtle, small contributing factor towards making our neighbourhoods feel that little bit safer in ways that we don't even notice. And I think it's important that that is highlighted. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Then, Councillor Yim, you ready?
Thank you, Mayor. On Saturday, the 21st of March, I attended the official opening of the 9x5 art exhibition at the Drum Theatre with Deputy Mayor Philip Dan and Councillor Isabella Doe. The pieces are still on display until Friday, May 1st. I myself have purchased 3 beautiful pieces. Get in while you can is what I recommend, as some pieces are still available for purchase. On Sunday, the 29th of March, I attended Keysboro's Big Picnic with yourself, Mayor. It was a fantastic turnout, showcasing our strong community spirit, and we were fortunate enough to have good weather that day. On Sunday, the 12th of April, I attended the annual Natya Prana concert. It was a beautiful celebration of culture through classical Indian dance. Miss Lakshana Siddharth, Artistic Director of Natya Prana, is an amazing teacher. Her students showcased her dedication and efforts to sharing the Bharatanatyam with the community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Yim. Councillor Formoso.
Thanks, Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to begin this evening by expressing my sincere gratitude to my fellow councillors for their support during my leave of absence as I continue to manage ongoing health matters. So the understanding of everybody has been greatly appreciated. I also wish to place on record that my actions and understanding at all times have been guided by and consistent with the professional advice provided by the Chief Executive Officer and the Council's Governance Manager. That advice has been firmly aligned with requirements of the Local Government Act 2020. Accordingly, it is pretty disappointing that some statements made on my behalf have contained some inaccuracies. For clarity, I confirm that in relation to any matters referred to the inspectorate, whether that be by council or members of the community, I have not received any communication indicating that I have failed to meet my obligations under the Act. Since my election in 2020, I have consistently sought to act with integrity and in the best interests of the community in which I live, work and raise my family. Some of the questions I have this evening is related to an urgent safety concern regarding an abandoned vehicle that has been stationary for over 2 months on Eagle Drive near the corner of Jackson's Road. The vehicle's prolonged presence is now creating a significant hazard for obstructing driver visibility, particularly at that busy intersection. Residents have raised this issue on multiple times, and I understand that multiple officers have actually attended this site on 3 separate occasions. Each visit has resulted in a different response. Most concerningly, one instance reportedly suggested that the vehicle will only be removed once its registration expires in 2027, if you can imagine that, Mayor. Given the clear and immediate safety risk, the response is difficult to reconcile with community expectation and council responsibility. The matter was also escalated to VicPol, who advised that council is the appropriate authority to remove this vehicle due to the safety implications. So this particular situation is both really confusing and concerning for residents, particularly if they're constantly given inconsistent guidance regarding this. My understanding is that if a vehicle has been stationary anywhere in our municipality for more than 2 weeks, we're obligated to remove that vehicle. That's my understanding, and I'm happy to be corrected. So what I would request is that this vehicle urgently be removed, and that we provide clarity on the enforcement of relevant bylaws relating to abandoned vehicles. It would really be helpful if council officers are consistently informed and aligned in their understanding and application of these regulations to prevent similar situations happening in the future, Mayor. So if the appropriate officer could respond, that'd be great.
Mr. Manifakasasivam.
Through you, Mayor, thank you for that. So I'm happy for the officers to have a look at the safety aspect of that. But the if the vehicle is registered, parked on the properties or the nature strip or things, we can't remove that one. It just needs to be unregistered vehicle for council to remove. So it is a registered, lawfully parked on a property or a road reserve. We can't remove that. But we are happy to assess the safety aspect of that. I'll get the traffic engineers to have a look.
Thank you. Any further questions, Councillor Formosa?
So if I'm correct in hearing this advice, it's that if a car is registered and is parked in a street for a substantial amount of time, whether that be months or up to a year, that's completely compliant with our regulations?
Yes, if it is registered, that's can lawfully sit on the road, park safely. But if it is not parked safely, yes, we are happy to assess that.
Okay. Well, the matter is a safety issue, so that if that could be addressed, that'd be great.
Any further question?
Yep. I'm also seeking some clarification regarding a recent decision which was not to accept a support letter I provided a local sporting club with that's within my ward as part of their grant application. Historically, we have always provided such letters as a standard and accepted practice for councillors, both internal and external grant applications. I've consistently supported clubs locally in this way, in line with community expectations and without any issue. So I'm just wanting some clarification as to when and why the decision or policy change was implemented, and whether this applies to all councillors or only in specific circumstances, and whether there is documented guidance of a formal resolution underpinning this position. Because, yeah, given the impact on local clubs and councillor engagement, I'd really appreciate a prompt response along with any relevant information, please, Mayor.
Through
Ms. Whittle or Ms. Gillies?
Mayor, I'm not aware of that. I'll need to take that on notice. Ms. Gillies, are you aware?
Through you, Mayor, can I just clarify, Councillor Formoso, was that in relation to the requested letter of support for the medium grants application program?
For which club?
I'm just looking back. I know there was Lindale United.
Yep, that's one of them.
Yeah, so that's the only one I've got knowledge of. The reason for that was the medium grants program is council's own program, so it's considered a conflict of interest for a councillor to write a letter of support for council's own program that council approves the grants for. If it was a different one to that, though, I'm very welcome to send me more information.
Yeah, and that's actually what I'm wanting clarification on, because previously in the 5 years that I've been on council, I've written letters of support, both internal and external grant processes, sometimes for clubs that aren't even within my municipality, but of course within my own municipality, because that's the elected representative role that we have. And if that decision has been made, I'm unaware of that, so I'd like some clarification and somewhere where this decision has been made, because I certainly don't recall that ever being brought to chambers and us agreeing on that.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Happy to do that, Councillor Formosa, and happy to meet with you in the next week or so and have a discussion about it.
Yeah, if we could bring that to all councillors as well, please. And finally, Mayor, I just wanted to acknowledge the significance of Anzac Day this Saturday, the 25th of April. It is certainly a time to honour and encourage sacrifice and service of our Anzacs, whose legacy lives on in the freedoms and values that we share today. And I think with everything that's going on globally, we can all really appreciate this now more than ever. And so in the city of Greater Dandenong, this day really unites our diverse community in remembrance and respect for our Anzacs. And the fact that it's falling on a Saturday this year, I really encourage all residents to attend local services and commemorations across our municipality with your family. Your presence really helps ensure this sacrifice is never really forgotten, so lest we forget. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Formosa. Councillor Garrard.
Thank you, Mayor. Yesterday, it was my great pleasure to attend the 50th anniversary of the Dandenong Day Nursery, Kindergarten and Family Daycare. And I spent a lot of time talking to parents who spoke overwhelmingly about the professionalism, dedication and genuine care shown to their children every day. They wanted to send us a message, the council and councillors. They want us to understand the extraordinary level of trust that they place in these services and how much they are greatly valued. They are so valued that even when they move away from the area, they will drive up to an hour and a half to bring their children back to the Dandenong services because they are so outstanding. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the staff involved, in particular Deborah Noble, who is the manager of the Dandenong Day Nursery, and on a personal note, Sharita, who's one of the outstanding educators at the day nursery now, but she actually raised one of my children in family daycare many years ago, and my daughter has never forgotten her. All of my children went through the family daycare program, and they want us to know how important it is to us, how outstanding it is, and to not mess with it. So that's a direct message from both the staff and the parents. Two quick questions. My first is around the blue bin. Around 30 Victorian councils, I am told, are pushing back on the implementation of the blue bin.
Purple bin.
Oh, it's purple.
Yeah,
Sorry, colourblind. Purple bin, glass bin. And those reasons are because of cost, and I believe for us it's $3.6 million to implement this program. There's also a cost to all of us as residents of around $16, I think, on our waste bill. And the concern is the duplication with the extraordinary success of the container scheme, which I understand has now diverted 70% of containers from landfill, and therefore it's questionable about the need for these extra bins, and also that it is not that residents cannot choose to opt out of this bin, which seems extraordinary, and therefore for those reasons those councils are opposing it. My question is, will the City of Greater Dandenong join that group?
Thank you, Sanjay.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Council formally made a decision to implement the glass bin back in October last year. So council officers are implementing the council resolution, and further through our budget discussion, council asked a further discussion on the purple bin. So we'll be providing further briefings in coming weeks. So from that, if council choose to make that decision, council officers will implement any council decision around that one. So we'll have further discussion on that matter.
Thank you, particularly given that we are heading into what economists say is going to be at best a severe recession, at worst a depression, and for us to be able to free up $3.6 million at this critical time, I think would be very financially prudent. So I thank you My second question is regarding the VCAT decision that the Victorian Civil Council Administrative Tribunal has refused the approval of the Hampton Park Waste Transfer Station, and congratulations to the Hampton Park Residents Association and Rachel Payne MP, who successfully pushed for that. Given that the council's contract with Viola relied on the transfer station as an integral part of that contractual agreement, particularly in the sorting before it was transferred to Maryvale facility. What happens now? What is the status of that contract? And my second question is, I've just learned that we are not using the landfill at Hampton Park, that in fact we're driving our waste, I think around 60 kilometres to another waste landfill facility. So my question is, given that the fuel shortages are biting, is that going to make our situation worse in terms of being able to dispose of our waste?
Through you, Mayor. Yes, so we need to look at all options for the future disposal of our waste, and that's an ongoing challenge for every council, and that's why the CVAMP is part of that. In relation to our contract with the Veolia on the waste to energy, it's still in place, and also the VCAT decision only happened just a week ago, and still Veolia got 28 days to consider their future options. So once we know about that future options, we'll able to assess where we stand and what are the directions we need to make. So we are closely working with Veolia. Once we know their direction, we can happy to look at other options and happy to brief councillors on what are the different directions we need to take.
Yeah, and just on the fuel, did you?
Yep. So with the fuel, currently we don't have any impacts because it's a contractual arrangements. But in the future arrangements, if the landfills are limited, yes, definitely that will have an impact on our future contracts.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor. That's it.
Thank you, Councillor Garrard. Councillor O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. Firstly, congratulations to Springvale RSL for the Anzac commemorative service yesterday that I attended along with Eden Foster MP. It was well done as always. And the question I had was regarding our local laws as they pertain to busking. I was talking to a local resident today who said that he has applied for permits in Springvale Activity Centre, but comparatively our council is quite restrictive on buskers compared with the experience he's had at Monash City Council. So I just wanted to know when that particular policy pertaining to that will be coming up for review. And whether, as part of that policy review, we could compare our posture on busking with surrounding councils, just as a sort of benchmark, because in my opinion, he is a very talented busker, and look, I understand we don't want people that are annoying, but he's certainly not. He's talented, and we'd want him in position busking as much as possible. So to the relevant officer, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Sanjay, would you like to respond on that?
I'm happy to take that on notice, so I'm not sure where that policy sits in and who manages that, but yeah, happy to look and then come back to that.
Thank you. That's all. Councillor Dole, when you're ready. We can't hear you.
Sorry about that. So alongside Councillor Dunn and Councillor Yim, I just want to say that the 9x5 opening, I believe, had the most artwork it's had since it's running. It was really fantastic to see it really all come together thanks to our amazing arts team. In addition, I attended the monthly ETC meeting, and I believe that was my first time where I had the departure of Chris, who has been really instrumental in being our council officer for the ETC, and I welcome his new the new person replacing his role, Lindsay, and I'm sure she'll do a great job advocating for all things transport in the city of Greater Dandenong. Secondly, I just wanted to also thank our team for putting on a sustainability festival in the Dandenong Market area. We have I didn't actually realize this, but we actually have different themes each year. So it was actually really interesting, and I actually learned a lot from, I'm always learning new things actually, despite, I guess, being a self-proposed sustainability advocate from our council team and from the vendors that were there. I also wanted to really acknowledge our second running of the Trans Day of Visibility, which occurred in our building. This is put together by numerous organisations and with the support of the City of Greater Dandenong. So in particular, I believe Headspace was there, Mental Health and Wellbeing Local, Foundation House and Justice Q, which is a part of the Southeast Monash Legal Service. It really was a welcoming and inclusive space, especially for an area like Greater Dandenong. It really, I think, would be amazing if we can continue to do this in the future. And it was really fantastic to see people being supported in a very affirming environment. As per Councillor Mehmeti, the Afghan Australian Philanthropic Association's cultural volleyball tournament was fantastic. I'm not really a sports person, if I'm honest, but watching that was absolutely, I was raptured, and it's just fantastic, and hopefully we'll see more of these types of events being run at Springers. And with the and again, I've got our amazing festival and events team who have also run the Keysborough Big Picnic. So being able to see every year, we seem to be getting better and better at doing activities and getting feedback on board. So I always recommend that any attendees, regardless of whatever event you have, if you see a little feedback QR code that's usually around the events, please make sure to scan it and share your feedback, because our teams really do take that on board. And I saw that this year with how they changed how they ran the Easter egg hunt. And recently I attended the Discover Dandenong Creek Festival as a volunteer, not with council, but it was really fantastic to see the phenomenal amount of attendees. And especially on a day where we thought it was going to be a bit dicey, it was really fantastic to see all the families come through and all the different types of vendors as well. I thought it was really quite an interesting event. Again, alongside alongside our mayor, attending the Madura opening, and it was really cool personally for me, as someone who's not very connected, to Noble Park and understanding the history, it was really, for me, very enlightening and, yes, very cool for me to see it all come together, and the amount of work or invisible work that our teams have gone through to get this across the line. I just want to applaud our entire team. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor Dole. With myself, I was very, very busy in the last month since the last council meeting. I'm not going to go through my 30 events that I attended to. I'm just going to highlight some important one. March will be a month of Harmony Weeks, International Women's Day. So we had the National Harmony Week celebration hosted by the Greater Dandenong Interfaith Network. Harmony Day Citizenships, we celebrated new welcome for the 300 new citizens. So last month alone, we welcomed 600 new citizens to our Greater Dandenong City Council. I did host the youth crime in Greater Dandenong, which is understanding interventions and collaborative impact forms. So I just want a forum, which is want to congratulate our team, especially Peter Gillies, Directorate, for organising that event. So hugely successful. I think we got like close to 200 people attended, all important different organisations as well. So it's great to learn about from the Victoria Police what we can learn from other countries. For example, what they do, youth crime in Denmark and also in UK. International Women's Day celebrations are hosted by a few different organisations, which is the Australian Multicultural Community Services. They are huge in Casey area. Now they're looking to move to Greater Dandenong as well. Polari Annual Stage Show. We also have highlighter was the Greater Southeast Melbourne GSM Manufacturing Stakeholders Roundtable. Great to have the National Reconstruction Fund Board. First time they come down to Dandenong, so congratulate to our GSM group and our CEO for having hold it here in Greater Dandenong. They met a lot of traders to understand their opportunities and their, all their strengths and weaknesses. What can they do to improve moving forward with all their opportunities here in Greater Dandenong, as we are one of the most powerhouse in manufacturing in the whole Australia. I also attended also we have the minister, former minister now, Nick Stakos, local government, now we changed minister, and also Mr. Tim Richardson, parliamentary secretary to the Premier, member of Meteorology. He came to the Keysville Community Hub. So great effort for our staff. So it's a great feedback from the minister. He likes the Library Lounge, also our services that's provided for the Keysville community, especially in Keysville South area. We had the Keysville Big Picnic, so great turnout, and the Rules Festival, again hosted by VAN, which is more than 10,000 people attended. Also, there's a lot of New Year's in April. We've got different 6 countries, so Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, a bit of Indian, Bangladesh. Huge community here celebrating New Year. So I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone celebrating in April. We also have the Sinhala and Tamil, which is one of the biggest celebration Sri Lankan festival here in Australia, which is hosted here in Greater Dandenong, second largest compared to their country. We are the second most largest, so I think over more than 10 or 15,000 people attended, which is great to see. And also attended the Discover Dandenong Creek Festival. As Councillor Doe mentioned, I think we had probably 500 people on a day. Great to see, which is last week of the school holidays, to see a lot of kids enjoying themselves. And yeah, we had the launch of the Madeira Way project. So I just want to say congratulations to our city, Greater Dandenong. It's the first collaborate with Aboriginal arts, so it's the first recognition here in Greater Dandenong, so congratulate to them. Also to the Victorian Government for contribution 186,000 on this project, plus the Noel Park Revitalisation Board, so thanks to Lee Talamas MP as well for his advocacy on this project. And we also had, so Noel Park RSL Anzac Day, Sunday commemoration and march and service. So just to let you know, the actual day is 25th, so make sure everyone attending your, local area in Dandenong, this will be in Springwell as well on the 25th. So that's all the reports from me. Do we have any question taken on notice, Ms. Vettel?
Yes, Madam Mayor, here they are.
Thank you so much. All right, now we're going to go to section 7, which is urgent business. I know that Councillor Garrard is... Yes, I'm just going to seek to raise an item of urgent business. So Councillor Garrard should briefly state what you're going to say in your urgent business and why.
I just want to point out it relates to the Daniel Market, so does Councillor...
Councillor Mamidi, do you want to declare a conflict of interest?
Okay, if you're going to speak about Daniel Market, I'd like to declare a conflict of interest and leave the room.
Thank you. Go ahead.
The item relates to the Dandenong Market trader evictions, and the urgency is that the matter will be substantially progressed by the next meeting and therefore needs an immediate attention. That is the urgency of this item. The details include that the traders of Dandenong Market have today received...
So we just need to admit this first and then you can go further. First, we just need to ask, is there any questions from councillors? Is a seconder first? Like anyone second your motion? Urgent business?
Happy to second.
So seconded by Councillor Formoso. Are there any questions related to this urgent business? Why is it urgent? Any question from councillors? No? Right.
Traders...
Sorry, just give me a sec. I'm going to go through the same process. Any questions and any opposition to this?
Madam Mayor, I think they need to hear the details of the motion before they can make a determination or ask questions.
First, we just need to admit if this is urgent or not, and then you can go through the second part. Yeah. Okay, so councillors, any questions? No questions. Any opposition? No opposition. Okay, Councillor Garrett.
Thank you, Mayor. So traders received letters today, correspondence to say that on May 1st, they will be issued with 3 months' notice to vacate, with expressions of interest to be sought from June to replace existing traders. This proposed timeline provides limited notice and raises serious concerns regarding compliance with applicable commercial tenancy laws. That the proposed action may expose council to legal liability and or significant reputational risk to the council and may undermine within the trading community confidence in the council. That the proposed actions would be substantially progressed, as I have said. So the motion is that a senior director, most likely the director who is on the council, on the market board, discuss with the manager of the market as a matter of urgency any implications for the council in regard to potential legal exposure and or reputational harm.
Thank you. As a seconder? Okay, so the motions that to write to the market manager requesting.
No,
did you amend it?
To hold discussions. So the senior director will hold discussions urgently with the manager of the market to discuss any concerns that may apply to the council in regard to legal liability, exposure and reputational risk.
Have you got that written down? Because we've got the old ones, not the amended one.
Yeah. So it was agreed in the prior meeting that that would be changed. And so the wording is that there will be urgent discussion between the director and the manager of the market in relation to any potential legal exposure of the council and or reputational risk. So it just relates to the council.
You got that, Michael?
Discussions with the manager regarding legal risk.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Just want to make sure we get the wording right. So that the director, which would be Sanjay's title, to hold discussions with the market manager in relation to
urgently in relation to potential legal exposure of the council and or potential reputational harm.
Okay. Thank you.
Just further, it's just been pointed out to me that we may need to add a timeframe in terms of the timeline. These discussions would need to happen before May 1st.
So we'll just add before May 1st to the end of it. Okay. So the motion would be that the director, Sanjay's title, to hold discussions with the market manager urgently in relation to any potential legal exposure of the council and or any potential reputational harm before May 1st.
Yes, thank you.
So is that the move? Is there any seconder on that?
Yeah, I'd second that, and I'd probably add something along the lines of this issue being time critical, particularly with meetings now limited to a monthly schedule. So failure to act tonight risks the matter lapsing before any meaningful intervention can occur.
Do you think that's covered?
That's on May 1st.
Well,
May 1st, like in next week. A couple of weeks.
Yeah. I think we've agreed, Councillor Formosa, that by putting May 1st addresses the issue of urgency. You agreed with that? You're okay with that? Yeah. So no further amendments. May 1st is fine.
Okay, so we've got a mover, seconder. Are there any questions, councillors? Councillor O'Reilly?
Question. I understand the motion's intent. Question to get advice. Would the best, in this sort of circumstance, would the best person to be the liaison for the market be the manager, or I would have thought it would have been the chair of the board, because the manager is employed by the board. You'd expect that, or presume that any sort of policy that's being referred to is that decision has been made by the board. So I would have thought that rather the manager being communicated with, that the chairperson of the board would be the most proper person for this motion. So if I can get advice on that, number one, and number two I've just forgotten. So we just, number two, I would ask the mover and seconder to consider removing the words before any meaningful intervention can occur, given that might, okay, that hasn't been added, so then we just have number one. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm happy to add chairperson and or manager. I'm happy to put that variation in if that satisfies Councillor O'Reilly.
Mm-hmm.
Through you, Mayor, I think the governance team are just trying to get it up on the screen so councillors can see it, to be clear what you're resolving on.
Okay, we're going to project it on a screen so you can see the motion on the screen. So they can change it to the chair instead of market manager.
Yeah, or perhaps you could cite it as the board and the market manager. I think that'll be suffice.
Mayor, can I clarify if the preamble points will be added, which have been sent prior? I'm happy for them not to be displayed now. I think all councillors received those, and I read them out. Just to ratify that they will be placed with the motion if it's passed.
Through you, Madam Mayor, Mr. Manavasagasavam, can you just clarify you're happy with the preamble points? Because I thought you had some concerns with some of them.
Yes, it's mainly around any trader negotiation with the license or the lease arrangement. It's up to the DMPL board, and also it is an operational matter for them. We can't direct them, but I'm happy to have that discussion with the board and then get the process. But through the board meetings, they have provided clear guidance on how that process is going to work, and I'm happy to provide the councillors with an update after the discussion. So with the preamble, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So we've got the mover, second questions ready done. Is there any opposition? Is there any opposition? No opposition? Right, it's no opposition, then the item's carried. Councillor Garrard.
Just thank my fellow councillors. This is a very difficult situation, and I thank them for understanding the urgency, and I hope that we can find a resolution that reduces the amount of difficulty this is creating.
Thank you. Now we're going to move to item 8, which is close of business. Do you want to say something?
Yeah,
before we close? Yes.
Thank you. Just thanks to Councillor Garrard for raising this, and this is just to make it clear to the public that this is something that's just been, this information was only given to us in the last 24 hours, hence why it's so time critical. So it would have been difficult to do anything had we not presented this as urgent business this evening, and this really directly threatens the livelihoods and established businesses and the stability of the trading community. And this is obviously placing some really unnecessary stress and uncertainty, which could have been avoided. You know, if these actions were actually to proceed unchallenged, it really sets a dangerous precedent for how traders and tenants can be treated in the future as well. So, yeah, thanks to fellow councillors for bringing this to the table.
Thank you. So item 8, close of business. I declare the meeting closed at 10:30 p.m. Thank you.